What's going on, people? Welcome to Throw Down Your Questions, episode 90. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and I'm joined by Chris Seeley,
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Brett Murdoch,
Howdy, people.
and Brian Majoma. Brian, say something, man. You're muted. He's probably
You're
playing.
making us look bad, dude.
Yeah, dude, come on. What is this? He's playing Warframe again. He was literally just talking 5 minutes ago. Anyway, hoy, I'm Brian. I'm part of Throwdown, I am. All right, Manny, and I guess, Pip Cherry and all that. Oh, man. All right, I guess Manny, will join us, I guess, in about 10 minutes, and Brian will join us when he's not chimney sweeping or whatever it is that the British do.
When he's done with his, I don't know, fish and chips.
Yeah, right. Yeah, how many?
We can't have good stereotypes. We have to have really bad ones.
Yeah, exactly. Swimming in that dirty ass Thames River.
Ooh.
All right, all right. Oh,
I heard that just now.
Yeah, Brian, we dissed the British so hard while you were gone. Yeah.
I'll catch it in the recording. No, wait, I'll just go to YouTube now.
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah. By the way, people will join us on YouTube. Actually, whoever's listening to us can't go to YouTube. It's already over. Damn.
Yeah, watch your lip, Brian. Like, so we'll come throw your tea in the river.
Yeah, Brian.
Okay, I must have missed something important because I didn't do anything. So okay, that's fine.
It's Independence Day.
No,
it
Brian.
doesn't matter. It's Be a Dick to British People Day.
Brian, you did miss something important. You missed the intro.
Oh, hey people, what's up? I was heating up my food. I need to eat. It's like 3 a.m. in the morning here. Come on.
I speculate that you were like chimney sweeping or something. That's why you couldn't do the intro.
Yeah, no, we started by trying to figure out what you were off doing, and it got progressively more and more stereotypically British.
Yeah. So is your food fish and chips, Brian?
Actually, it's a homemade beef burger.
Ooh, that sounds good.
It is good. I mixed jalapenos into the minced meat, and then as I was making the patty, I put some cheese in the center, off the patty itself, so that when you bite down, cheese just melts out.
You British are all right. That sounds like some good eating. That's some fucking American shit right there, man. Oh boy! All right. Before we start, quick shout out to Gary and Richard. They had, for having me and Chris on the Quarterly Report podcast. We had a lot of fun, didn't we, Chris?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, we ran down the top games of our favorite games from April, May, and June. And it's like our 3 favorite games plus our 1 disappointment. Yeah, I loved how, because at the end of the show we always do the 1 disappointment that we think is going to be for the next quarter. And it was all universally, except for Richard, was universally No Man's Sky. We all believe game's going to be a huge disappointment.
Yeah. We all universally love Doom.
Yeah, we all love Doom.
Universally panned No Man's Sky.
Mighty Number 9.
Yeah.
Too. Okay. So this week we don't really have a lot of questions. I don't know. Did you guys think we were on vacation? You don't go on vacation unless we tell you we're going on vacation. So we're gonna take our sweet time answering some of these. But first up, Final Stage Boss actually wants Brett to answer a question he wasn't able to last week because you weren't on. The question was, let's see if I can remember off the top of my head. Do you think the Black Panther movie will be as successful as every other Marvel Cinematic Universe movie? Even though it has nothing but an all-black cast and a black director.
Oh, fuck yeah, I think it will be. Well, I mean, I guess it's not as cut and dried. To me, yeah, why wouldn't it be? Especially because it doesn't seem to be heavy-handed, weird black, racial pandering kind of thing. It's not shoving race in your face and everything like that. It's a movie set in Africa that has an all-black cast. It makes sense. Sure, okay, why not? That doesn't seem at all weird to me. The same way having an all-white cast in Asgard didn't seem weird to me. Although still, the one random black guy in there just does seem weird. Yeah, that just seems weird. But I mean, this movie, the narrative calls for it. There's nothing that goes against the grain of the actual story itself. So I personally don't see why this movie wouldn't work really well. It's not pulling out a soapbox and dragging along a wooden floor and making a big ruckus and throwing it out there, and it's a movie that tells a story, and I think it's cast accordingly. So I think it'll do just fine, and I think lots of people will see it. And I think the ironic thing about it is that the only way that race actually gets pulled into this is if the movie didn't do well, and everyone's going to say, "Oh, well, people didn't go see this movie because it's got an all-black cast." To which, like, maybe y'all know some more racist people than I do, but like, I live in Kansas, yo. Like, you would think that if there's like, and maybe it's just that it's not the South, but you'd think like, hey, if there was going to be a big problem, you'd have it in the Midwest. But like, man, New York is worse than it is here. Here, everybody's just like, I really could give a fuck less. I really could give a fuck less. The only thing that
couldn't give a fuck less.
Couldn't give a fuck less.
Yeah. See, this is why I think specifically he wanted you to answer this, because when we answered this, we were all collectively like, I don't know, man. I don't think this movie's going to do good because this country is racist as shit. Like we all.
Oh damn! Really?
Yeah, that's what we all said. It's like we all said basically we wanted to do good, but given how racist America is, we wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't do as well as the other Marvel movies because of the race thing. It's stupid, it's petty, but human nature.
I think that's. I'll be honest. I think that's just to a certain extent a colorblindness that seems, from my weird world travels, like. Parts of the South and a lot of the Midwest, like, could give a fuck less what color you are. Like, a lot of them don't even really react. They're just kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of a medium brown, a little north of peanut butter-ish. Like, it really doesn't register to us a lot.
Yeah, it's very interesting how that works because, as Manny put it, the thing is, when we use the word race or racial, it's not a negative thing, but he did say New York is a very racially based place. Like it's always in the
very race aware.
Yeah, because think about it, we have different sections. Like if you go across the street, you're already in a different part of town. It's like Brett, you even commented on this when I took you through Main Street. You're like, there's nothing but Asian people. What's going on? I'm like, yeah, that's New York, man. We're segregated like that.
Yeah, You guys have like an equally proportionate number of like all kinds of different people, and you just kind of separate out into little pockets, and like then you come to the Midwest, and you're like, the fuck is wrong with you? Y'all looking at each other in the face and shaking hands and saying hi to each other. It's like, yeah, that's how you mix it all up, man. Like I don't know what you were doing in New York, but like apparently y'all don't have the time to get to know your neighbors.
No, because your neighbor might stab you in the neck. You got to be careful, man.
Well, okay, according to Midwest logic, that the idea is, look, if you get stabbed in the neck, that's your fault because you should have known your neighbor better. You should have known him well enough to be like, that motherfucker's gonna stab somebody in the neck.
In the Midwest, the usual problem is the guy next door may not be like a guy who shoots people. He might be some sort of crazy serial killer.
Yeah, he's a nice serial killer.
This isn't close community. You fucking bring a pie when somebody moves in. This is just you know who your fucking neighbors are, and enough of their business to know whether or not you need to know any of their business. Mm-hmm. Like there's that one neighbor who comes home at 11 o'clock every night, shuts their door, cranks their stereo. They clearly don't want to fucking know you, so don't go over and invite them to the fucking the cookout. If there's somebody across the hall, you kind of gauge, like, if you run across them greeting your groceries, you're like, hey, man, what's up? And you either decide from that slight discourse, like, this guy's a dick. And, like, you shut the door and stuff a towel under there before you smoke your weed because your neighbor across the street's going to be kind of an asshole.
Yeah, but isn't that a difference between suburban life and city life? Because think about it like this. Like, I probably have more people living in my building than you do in your entire neighborhood,
No, honestly, I think that it's honestly probably just a New York thing, and I'd be curious as to what
city thing though.
New York is not the only big city.
Yeah, no, I mean the thing is that living in Pennsylvania and Philly, the people even in the city are a lot nicer than the New York people.
Okay,
well, I got you. That's where they also get the city of brotherly love bullshit from.
Yeah, but this is what I mean. Okay, you guys remember Crocodile Dundee, right? Remember when he comes to Manhattan, a woman passes by him, he's like, hey, have a nice day, I'll see you later. What was so funny about that is like, dude, you're never gonna see her ever again. You're like, that's how it is. Like your quote unquote neighbors, you're never gonna see them. You'll see them once and that's it. Unless you live within the building with them, the people you meet outside, you're never going to run into them again. There's no need to make any connection with anyone because you're never going to see them again. But at the same time,
I'm not going to see somebody I see. Like if I see somebody at fucking Walmart, I'm never going to see that motherfucker again. Like I'm really curious. Like, I know you've lived in New York your whole life. Have you done a lot of traveling outside of New York?
Dude, you know me, man. The only places I've been to have been Los Angeles and Boston and upstate
Okay,
New York.
yeah,
That's
I'm
it.
curious as to what you think the whole middle of the country is like. Do you think like we see somebody at market and be like, "Hey Ted, I'll see you next Tuesday."
Oh, you want me to get real
he thinks
typical here?
he thinks that you all have banjos on your knees and stuff like that, and you all drive pickups around.
We all have to drive to town every time we want something.
Yeah, basically, it's like
Well, in order to get to the corner store, you have to jump like canyons, like in Dukes of Hazzard.
I don't know. You know what? For some reason, this is the only thing that comes up in my head. Remember the movie Elvira, Misters of the Dark? Remember that really shitty town she goes to? That's what I imagine most of America to be. You know, just like these really like hyper like racist, fucking bigoted, ignorant like masses.
Tony, most of the middle looks like the area that you live in. I was shocked when I went to New York the first time. I was like, dude, I was expecting like a whole fucking city of skyscrapers. You guys aren't that much more packed in.
Well,
than
that's
Manhattan.
Manhattan. That's Manhattan.
That's the thing. That's Manhattan. Once you get out into Queens.
Oh yeah, no, I know. I'm telling Tony.
It kind of looks very similar to a lot of like my area currently where I live outside of Philadelphia. It looks like Queens. I could just take a shot and be like, oh, hey, that looks like Queens, and that's where a lot of places do look like, where it's just lots of trees, minimal buildings don't go any higher than maybe 3 floors.
Yeah, I mean, I remember you and Rachel told me that like when you were in quote unquote in New York, you guys felt dirty all the time. That's because you were in Manhattan the whole time. I know what that feels like. Every time you go to Manhattan, you come back, it's like, ugh. Manhattan is just fucking nasty. Which and then remember, I also said L.A. is even nastier. So that tells you something about L.A. right there. Because when you smell shit in New York, you go, okay, that's some sort of animal shit. And L.A. is like, that's human shit. Totally different thing.
LA is like the city that's circling the drain. LA is terrible.
That's the best analogy I heard about it. But yeah, and I'm pretty actually that's my bigoted view of the rest of. I figured the rest of America was kind of like Long Island. You haven't been there, Brett, but it's just a bunch of little houses. Everybody's kind of sort of friendly with each other. Big fucking strip malls everywhere.
People in Long Island are nice.
Yeah. Well, you're right. New Islanders are kind of assholes. Fuck them. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. In general, like over here, like you go to the store, people say thank you, stuff like that. Like they'll actually mean it, as opposed to just going out, thank you.
Yeah. But again, in New York, you got to be careful, man. I was watching a story that happened this week. Some bum was going around with dog shit in his hands, putting them down women's pants. It's like, you don't want to make eye contact when you do it like that.
Because the big problem with that is because also the city is also just so happens to be a very convenient place for people who, for homeless people to also, get food.
Exactly.
See, like over here, like where where you're living outside of cities like that, you don't see homeless people. Queens, you don't see homeless people.
No, you don't. Not really.
Once you get to the areas that have a lot more stores and stuff, that's a little bit where you'll see a lot more of them.
Yeah, dude, think about it like this. I live in the fucking projects. I never see homeless people.
No, because there's not enough businesses around there.
Yeah, but then of course you take the bus to 71st Street, bam, homeless people.
You don't see a lot over there either. They mostly stick to Manhattan.
Yeah, no, Manhattan is crazy. But anyway, last thing here.
What was the question?
we haven't even started yet.
Oh, okay.
We literally got 7 questions this week, so I'm padding the show up.
Oh, okay.
I think these dudes must have thought we were on vacation, even though we didn't tell them we were. Anyway, I want to address something Seth said because remember, going back to the Black Panther thing, the reasoning was like, hey, the lowest rated Disney movie was Princess and the Bride, right? Or
Princess and the Frog.
Princess and the Frog, which starred a black girl, right? But he just wanted to correct us, saying no, the lowest rated Disney movie or lowest grossing Disney movie was actually Teacher's Pet. That was actually the worst one. So thank you for clarifying that for us.
Teacher's Pet wasn't an animated film.
Wasn't it?
No, I don't remember.
It was an animated film, yeah. It's a. I'll send a picture. I don't like the style of that show.
Yeah,
There was a series and there was a movie.
Okay, so there you go. It's a movie. Was
Well,
it theatrical though? I guess it was.
Yeah, it was released in theaters.
Okay, so there you go. Anyway, so let's get to the actual questions here.
What's his name? Nathan Lane did the voice of the dog.
Oh,
Well,
shit.
here's the thing about a film like Teacher's Pet compared to a film like Princess and the Frog. A film like Teacher's Pet, being that it was a TV series, was probably shipped out to Korea or China or something like that. So to make that film, it probably didn't even take a lot of money to make. For a film like Princess and the Frog, that would take a lot of budget to do, because it's being done in the United States. Everything is being done here, and that's why that film. I'm sure that's part of the reason why that film wasn't considered profitable. Spending all that money and then at the end not earning a lot of it back.
Yeah.
Also, to be honest, Princess and the Frog was not a very good film.
I was just about to get to that. We said this before on the show. It's like basically it's not doing anything different than the other princess movies have done.
Yes.
It's kind of just a retread.
It's like, okay, what do you do? It's like, we haven't done an animated film in, what was it? At that point in time, it had been maybe 4 years or 5 years, right? And then they come back, and then they're doing the same bullshit again.
Well, even that movie though was clearly like the black Disney movie. Like it was a low-handed cash grab for like, hey, all of you black people who are complaining about all the princesses being white, here's a black princess for you. Like it wasn't organic. It wasn't well thought. It didn't actually follow a story. Everything was ham-fisted and built around.
Thank you, Brett. I was just
full of color.
Here's the thing.
Hold on, Brett. Before you go, Brett, I just wanted to thank you for using Throwdown's favorite word when it comes to these situations: ham-fisted. I thought you weren't going to slip it in there, but you did, so I want to thank you for that.
I officially didn't feel that it was very ham-fisted. I just feel that the story wasn't good enough.
You don't think
like
the whole
just...
movie reeked of "here's a black princess for you"?
No. To be honest, in most of the film, she is not a black princess. The only time she actually becomes a princess at the end of the film.
Oh well, yeah. I guess that's not what I'm saying. The whole movie seemed built around the and maybe it's not even like a political statement. It's probably built around merchandising. That Disney looked at a lineup and said, you know what, little black girls don't really have a princess, and I'd love to say that was them being ethical or them saying like, let's round this out and give young black girls a role model or something like that. But it was probably a marketing thing. They said, there's a shitload of money here we can make if we sell beach towels and tutus and pillowcases and every other fucking thing under the sun. But the movie just reeked of getting to the end goal of, after all was said and done, look, we have a black princess. And like, it doesn't even matter, I guess, in the movie itself. It's just the meta of, look, we got here, look, we have a black princess. We have the movie that she came from.
I don't know. I mean, just within the movie, it didn't seem like it was pandering. But granted, I did feel that the film, based in the time that it was made, it was kind of Disneyfying the South or New Orleans at that time. They don't go out. It in a lot of ways it could be seen as the opposite. Kind of how the way the Song of the South is seen, where it's like it's the film is of Song of the South. The biggest criticism that people have about the film is not the fact that it's about this black storyteller. It's the fact that it kind of plays down the fact that he was a sharecropper or he was a slave and all of this stuff. Everybody's happy in the Song of the South, even though it was at a time where people were not happy.
Well, and see, that's what I'm saying. Like the whole movie.
Final thought, because I want to move on from this topic.
Okay, fine. That's what I'm saying is the whole problem with that is it seems calculated, and maybe it's a no-win scenario because when Disney does be like, okay, well, we're going to make a black princess, immediately you're left with like, okay, well, what fucking time period do we base this princess in? Because if it's anything, if it's set in America, right, anywhere before modern times, then it's going to have weird racial whitewashing tones. If it's set outside of America, it's going to have this kind of, obviously, underhanded kind of pandering, unless it's just really racially sensitive and culturally sensitive. And then they could go out of their way and be like, here's a movie, kind of a little bit closer to Lion King, but it's following a black girl in a tribal society, and then you're like, shit, that's opening a whole can of worms that we don't want to get into. So like, it seems even like the time and the place and the setting and the story is all, well, what is the least offensive way that we can go about focusing on race without it seeming like we're focusing on race? I hesitate to put it in the same camp as Black Panther, because Black Panther seems like a story that's being told, and the race card is kind of stapled onto the side because it advances the story. I mean, yeah, there is definitely racial tones to the story, but it's about the exploitation of a country in Africa, which is a perfectly valid point to make a story on.
Yeah. All right, let's move on here. So Final Stage Boss starts us off here. Which franchise do you think has the better boss battles, God of War or Metal Gear Solid? Yeah, I know, man. I already have my choice, but let's break them down, right? God of War. What are the best known boss fights in that one? The crazy ass giant Minotaur, right? The
Poseidon fight.
Yeah, the Poseidon fight, which is ridiculous. Zeus,
Not Atlas. What was his name? Kronos.
Kronos, yeah. That was ridiculous, man. So yeah, that this series has been known for some pretty good boss fights. And Hades, people like that one too. Even though I thought it was just okay. And then Metal Gear Solid, pretty much every game has, like, every single boss is insane. Metal Gear Solid had all those guys, like, yeah. So
Psycho Mantis and the Ninja for the first one. Actually, fighting Metal Gear was also one of them. For 2, it would have been fighting who was it? Two's bosses were a little.
Hey man, you got to fight President Dr. Octopus.
Well, that was at the end, but I mean, the other bosses were a little bit weird. Like, I really never liked the Fat Man fight. I thought
that one.
It's like, hey, look, search for the bombs. I'm like, I really didn't like searching for the bombs in general.
Yeah. I just like shooting that fat guy. That was my thing.
And Vamp, and there was the Vamp one where he just kind of jumped around in that pool.
Yeah, then Metal Gear Solid 3.
Oh, the Harrier fight was actually really good
awesome.
in that game.
Yeah, and then Metal Gear Solid 3 was just chock full of boss fights. Especially my favorite boss fight of all time, the end. It's a sniper battle with this crazy old guy. So yeah, you already know what my choice is. Metal Gear Solid for sure, man. That, like, to me, that I've always said that, like, it has the best boss fight in any video game out there. Period. But God of War, I don't know if they. See, my question is, does God of War come in second? Because I like the boss battles in God of War, but I don't think they're, like, stellar like that.
I don't think they're very good. I'm gonna be honest.
They're more set pieces.
Yeah.
God of War really shined outside of the boss battles because the combat was organic and you could chain combos together and launch enemies and it was free flowing. By the time you got to the boss battles, it always felt really constrained and set piecey.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, But yeah,
they did. I mean, the boss battles in God of War did a really good, did a really good thing about kind of empowering you. Like, where in other words, after you do your little, your button combination and you beat the shit out of it, you're like, yeah, I did it. Oh!
Yeah, the presentation of those boss battles was great, and the satisfaction you got, like when you fight Hercules, right? I understand it's constrained, but man, it was so satisfying, right? When you beat the shit out of him,
smashing his face in,
right? But with Metal Gear is more grounded, right? God of War is out in the stratosphere, like the everything happening in Kratos' universe is like insane, right? I feel Metal Gear is more grounded, and then the things that Solid Snake or Big Boss have to tackle is like no ordinary soldier would fucking survive this shit. That's what makes him amazing, right?
You always make the joke. It's like it's like a Big Boss or Snake is always fighting the X-Men.
Oh my God! Yes, I said that right after I played Snake. I'm like, there's a guy with bees coming out of him, right, and attacking me. I'm like, how the fuck does that work, man?
Because the boss battles are just so insane, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the most epic battle in there is against the boss, and she doesn't have any power. She's just amazing as a
Mhm.
soldier, right?
Yeah.
But then you fight guys like the End, and he's like absorbing sunlight and camouflage. And who's that guy? The poison
Fear.
guy.
The Fear.
The Fear, yeah. That I don't know. He was acting like Spider-Man. I'm like, what the hell's up with this guy? But
Played by Michael Bell. Fear.
Yeah.
or the Fury. I'm like, holy shit. This
It's
angry
like
Osman out in the show.
like what was it like? Fire
Oh, Vulcan.
Spaceman.
Fire Spaceman and Vulcan's Electric Man.
Yeah, and then Metal Gear obviously popularized the whole thing with like you kill the boss and then he talks to you for 5 minutes after you killed him. It's like, dude, you're already dead. Why are you still talking? They had to tell you about their whole life story and stuff.
Well, that's what they did in the first two games. But then in 3, they decided to just end it with an explosion.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you could call some other like, yeah, when he was you get to find out a little bit more if you call up for more information. But other than that, they don't give you a life story
But
when they
remember,
die.
like in Metal Gear Solid 1, Brett, I'm bringing this up because that's the one you played. You kill fucking Sniper Wolf, and then she tells you about her whole story, and you feel bad for killing her. Same with the little Vulcan Raven. It's like, okay, you seem like a cool guy. I didn't want to kill you. Shit. Why didn't you tell me this beforehand? You know?
You're like, oh shit, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't know that you'd be so chill about everything.
Yeah, he's like, I die now, Snake, but I know I go resting with the great spirits. I'm like, damn, this dude's deep.
It's like if I only knew that the things that I've done.
And then obviously the Psycho Mantis thing is like one of the most classic boss battles ever because he fucks with your head, you know. Oh, so you like Konami games, huh? I've seen you've recently played Castlevania.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to get out of my head.
I think I said this before. I always like trying to figure out what game, because back in those days you didn't have any internet or anything like that. I always thought it was like, I always tried to find out what other Konami games he would actually react to. He didn't do it to Contra, I can tell you that. But then again, that game was stupid. At least that Contra the top angle Contra that came out.
I like what Barry Burns says here. He goes, Psycho Mantis would know you have been playing God of War.
I know. I've said that you've played God of War.
All right, let's move on here. His next question. E3 has always been about showing games, some of which are 2 to 3 years away, and no one had a problem with it before. Why is it such a problem now? How did release dates become more important than showing games? Great question. I have a two-part answer for this one, but I'll save my judgment for later. Manny, why don't you go first?
Why has it been about showing
Why do people care more about release dates now than actually seeing games?
It's a weird sort of thing. Like, I don't actually don't like, it's like, especially when it comes to a numbered game, like people are just can't wait until the next one is coming along. But I mean, as far as like games that are new titles, I don't think people are that insane about release dates until they actually see something. It's like with No Man's Sky, or we're like Horizon Zero Dawn, where it's like we saw the gameplay right in front of us. When's that coming out?
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to jump in right now because I'm going to give two answers. I'm going to give the actual answer, and then I'm going to give the answer final stage boss wants to hear because I know he's baiting me, and I'm going to give it to you. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Basically, okay. Out of the last this whole gen of E3, we've seen a bunch of games. Actually, excuse me, we got to go back because E3's been doing this for a while. Games that are shown, they're really cool, and we don't know when the fuck they come out or they get delayed. I honestly think people are just getting tired of that. They just want to see the game dates. It's like, okay, listen, you're showing us all. Look, think about Watch Dogs, right? Think about The Last Guardian, Final Fantasy Versus 13 or 15 now. People are tired of that shit, so they want release dates, right? Now, the answer he wants to hear is the people that are complaining are mostly Xbox fans, right? Since Sony's showing off all these good games, they have, the only counter they have is like, hey, when are they actually going to come out? Since, Xbox isn't showing off as cool games. By the way, again, I'm just giving the answer he wants. They're like, oh, how do we attack them? Oh, those games are cool, but when are they coming out? At least we know our games are coming out. So yeah, it's part of the fanboy war. That's the part you wanted to hear, Final Stage Boss. But it really comes down to people are just sick and fucking tired of games that never come out. I think in general that's the that's the real answer.
But the thing is that other than a few titles, what games have actually just not come out? Most of the time, these things get nixed before even anybody sees them.
Like Agent, where's that? Or what was that? 8 Days or something? Where's that?
I don't even remember those games.
The Last Guardian being delayed forever didn't help, and No Man's Sky being delayed forever didn't help. I think the problem was that they started projecting them further. Deep Down, where the fuck is Deep Down?
Here's the thing. The thing is that can you really call it a delay if they didn't give you any sort of date?
But see, that's the thing that I think a lot of people are pissed about, is by inches and degrees it slowly became that they were telling us about things further and further out in development, because they didn't have a whole lot to show us here and today. And then, all these games disappeared. People were like, well, what about, half the fucking show that you showed to us about 3 years ago? And they're like, oh, well, we never actually committed any of those games. They're like, well, what the fuck was the point of bringing them to E3, you goddamn jackasses? Parading them around here in their little tiny dresses and their horrid fucking makeup. All they was just a big fucking gamer dick tease. That's not cool of you to do. It's not cool.
But the thing is that, here's the thing, this is what people have to understand. Part of E3 is the spectacle, and when you bring the spectacle, it gets people's attention, even if it isn't going to be coming at that moment.
Yeah, but you have to be able to promise that it's actually coming, and I think that's the line that they're treading. Is they pushed too far out. It became more about spectacle and less about reality. And then when people started being like, where are all these games that were supposed to be coming out? It kind of backlashed on them, and I think that's normal. I think it's going to be a sliding scale, and I think people right now are concerned about release dates. Like, yeah, it's great that you announced another new trailer, but at the same time, is this game ever coming out? Because a lot of people have been burned, and now they're kind of the mindset like, look, I'll start getting excited about a game about 3 months before it fucking comes out. Because until it hits that three month mark, I have no idea if it's going to get delayed or if it's going to get canceled. Or if it's going to take a turn in development and turn to something completely new that sucks. Like, you can have games in development, but at least it's my opinion that if you're going to have them in development forever, after you've announced them, they need to be open development. You need to have early access, and you need to let the players help shape the game. Otherwise, if you're just going to show somebody a glimpse and then go back into closed development for 4 fucking years, people are going to get really pissed of waiting for the game.
Or they could do like Horizon did, or like what's those guys did, Bethesda did. It's like, hey, look, we got a Doom game. Did you know about that one? Or, hey, look, Fallout's coming out right next year. Bam.
Yeah, no, that's great, because there used to be some of that. Like, it used to be, here are the games that are coming soon. Here are some games that are going to be coming a little bit further out. Here's a sneak peek on some of the stuff that we're working on. But it's just, and I'm not sure if it's because they haven't had things to show, but fucking Christ, like some of the more recent E3s have, I swear to God, been we'll be coming out with some real good games in just a couple of years. Just don't sell your systems, and eventually we promise some good games will come. And to which all the console owners are like, oh, that looks pretty cool. When will this be happening? And they're like, soon-ish, maybe.
Oh, by the way, I want to say something that was a South Star Online said here in the comments. He goes, my answer to that question would be because they get new iPhones every year. People don't want to wait on anything anymore. They even stop their microwave 20 seconds early. Patience is a dead virtue. So that's his answer to that.
Yeah, I was going to say that as a comment. I just think this generation is not patient anymore. Mm-hmm. They want instant gratification. It's a whole generation of instant gratification. So if they don't hear a release date, or you don't hit a release mark, and there's a lot of entitled young people out there that just flip out, right? You know what's happened with No Man's Sky and other games. We hear other game releases, you get death threats when your game is late, which is ridiculous. So I agree with what that guy said in the comments.
Yeah, it could be that too.
I think it's just like twofold thing. Like one, people are just again, as Brett said, people are just sick and tired of people just announcing games and we just not knowing like when they'll come out. Because like I don't know about you guys, but I just don't like that. Like I really think that's a bad habit that should go away. But then at the same time, again, as Chris said, we live in a generation where people want instant gratification on everything. So like they want everything then and there and now, and that's also a problem. And I think that those two things just are not gelling well, and that's why we have this problem. And also personally, to answer Final Fantasy's Boss's question in the fanboy way, that's actually why I don't like Sony's press conferences. It's just empty promises. It's like, hey, this game is coming out. When? No one knows. Greatness awaits. It's like, thanks for that. You know.
Greatness really
No.
doesn't wait.
Yeah, when? Whenever it comes. Like, at least like a window would be nice. No, this year, next year.
But it's a wait.
eventually.
But it's a wait,
Yeah.
man.
But I also think the one thing about game development is that it's very amorphous. Like I've watched some documentaries on the actual creation of games, and they're not like fucking movies where it's like, okay, well, you know the script, we have our storyboards, execute. For a lot of times, like, you know, these guys will come through and start making the game, and then they end off in a whole totally different direction from what they started in. So I mean, you could try to give a release date, but especially with a game like, you know, you think of like certain games like where they just go in totally different directions. You can't. I mean, sport games you can constantly give those things release dates because they're always pretty much the same thing. You always have to carry a ball. You have to throw it. You know, you have to have all these certain things in there. But for like a game that's a little bit more complicated, you can't quantify that until you get really close to when you're going to complete it.
Yeah, so I guess in that case, just like, I don't know, again, if that's the case, right, which is, it actually is the case, maybe don't announce them so soon, you know? It's like, hey, we have this in development. It's like, how about you tell us in 4 years when it's actually almost done, you know? It's just like with Final Fantasy, it's like, you guys literally just have as a logo. That's all you have. Don't announce that shit, you know?
Yeah,
Oh, man.
because remember that game that Criterion showed off at E3, I think like 2 years ago? That Extreme Sports one?
Wait, which one?
That Extreme Sports one was like the next stage of Burnout type thing.
Oh, yeah, they canceled that shit.
Yep.
They canceled it to get them to work on Star Wars games.
Yep.
How crazy is that? So, yeah, there you go. All right, last question here from Mr. Final Stage Boss. This is an interesting one. Why do you think Fox only chose to make Psylocke's costume accurate and no one else's in X-Men Apocalypse? Before we answer that, it's not 100% accurate. There's a boob window that was not there before. But with that said, her costume does look more like the costume that you see in the comics and all the other guys is. So why do you think Psylocke, they went, hey, you know what? Let's make her look as much as the comic as possible.
Fan service.
You think that's what it was?
Did the job.
What did I just say? Fan service.
Yeah,
That's it.
fan service.
No, I was agreeing, and yeah, it did the job of like showing TNA. Like, this one's fun.
It's funny because like they could have
Even more TNA because again, she doesn't have a boob window in the comic.
No, she's literally just wearing. If you were to put it, you know, say what she's actually wearing in the comics, she's just wearing a onesie bathing suit.
Yeah, with like long gloves and like, you know.
Yeah, with long gloves.
Yeah, she's wearing a bathing suit and accessories. That's all it is.
Yeah, basically, you know.
But then for them, they said, "Oh no, we're gonna cut 2 holes in the bathing suit and then add some plastic plate armor on her boobs."
Yeah. So I guess, you know, but then again, you know, with Apocalypse, he doesn't look much like he's supposed to. Pretty much all the other X-Men don't look like they're supposed to until the ending, you know. So I guess you're right. It's like, hey, let's have her, you know, look like that because of, you know, I guess titties.
She's actually with the exception of
Wait, what happened, Brian?
Because it's a character that no one cares about.
Psylocke.
Yeah,
people care
in the
about
film
Psylocke.
wise. No,
No.
in the film, people like, do we care about Psylocke in the film, or do we just let her do her own thing? No, we'll like save that the costumes for like the real characters. Olivia Munn, go cosplay.
Yeah.
It's funny because it's like they obviously did her character for that reason because she's like a crazy popular like X-Man, with the exception like there's Wolverine, there's Storm, and then there's Psylocke.
Yeah, that's true.
Those are like the super popular characters. So they literally pulled like a Deadpool where it's like, okay, we're gonna, people love this character. If we decide to make her any other way, people are gonna get pissed. Let's do something so that they'll keep them happy. But yet, no, everybody else in the film looks different.
Yeah. Very
I
interesting.
don't think that many people
Storm is kind of
like
close.
Psylocke.
What happened, Brett?
I didn't think that many people liked Psylocke. As an avid Marvel fan, like,
No, dude, she's hugely popular.
Yeah,
What are you
she's
talking
crazy
about?
popular. She's like
crazy popular.
She's
Yeah,
like
dude.
she's like Electra popular.
when did this happen?
Since the 90s, the whole era that you missed out on, Brett.
Yeah.
What? No. I was on board with a lot of the Marvel stuff from 92, 93 on.
Yeah, like, dude, as soon as Jim Lee redesigned her, she's took off. She's consistently been one of the most popular X-Men. Because think about it, she's a hot, like, Asian fucking ninja chick, you know?
She was always B team as far as me and my friends were
She was
concerned,
on the
but okay.
main team.
She was on the main team.
Remember how X-Men was split
So
into
was
two
fucking
teams?
Jubilee.
Yeah, but you know why she got popular, right? Because she was on the fucking cartoon, you know?
Yeah, but no, that's what I'm saying. Like they were the kind of I always regarded her as one of those background characters that there's the main X-Men. There's like the people kind of in the background doing their thing. And
Psylocke was not one of those characters. No,
she was
always eye
She
candy.
was a psychic ninja. Two awesome things combined.
Exactly, you know. Yeah, Brett. It's just you didn't realize that. Okay, you don't like her. You get that's fine.
It's
But
not that I didn't like her. It's just
Gambit.
there's not much there to like.
Also Gambit too.
Yeah, her and
Gambit's
Gambit-
also another one of the
her and
popular
Gambit are like the same amount of popular, actually. You know?
Them is fighting words.
No, I'm not telling you this because I
This is
think I
not
like her
conjecture
better.
or
This
anything
is
like that.
This is the truth. You know.
Are you talking like in terms of like comic book sales popularity,
I'm
or
talking about in terms of fans. If you go to any list of top X-Men, Psylocke and Gambit will always be there in the top 20. I guarantee you that.
Like, I don't like them.
confused.
no, I love Gambit, which is why I'm kind of like you do not say Psylocke and Gambit are the fucking same.
But but it's this isn't even a matter of opinion. It's
No,
the
don't get me wrong. Like I like Psylocke and I recognize her, but she's not a good character. She has no real depth. It's Manny basically listed out the beginning, middle, and end of her qualities.
And that's all people wanted, especially in the 90s. Especially
I
in the
know.
90s. That's all you needed. And remember, nostalgia's big, so she keeps on being popular. It's the reason why fucking Rob Liefeld is still popular, even though he sucks. It's nostalgia.
Okay. So when you talk about like in the movie, like okay, she did exactly in the movie what she did in the comic books. Like tell you what, you stand here with no pants and try not to intrude upon the main narrative. And every once in a while, we're gonna throw something at you, and you just cut it off with your ninja psychic blades. Like that's
Yeah.
Okay. That's,
And then
I don't regard that as a good character, but
We didn't say she was a good
We
character.
never said that. We just told you she's popular. There's a difference between good and popular.
Okay.
Look at the Transformers movies. Insanely, popular. The movies aren't good. you know?
Okay. We no longer have to fight after the show then.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not telling you she's a great character. I'm just telling you she's popular.
I thought you were saying she was on par with Gambit. And I was
No,
whoa.
as far as popularity, she is.
Yes, as far as popularity, she is. But
okay.
in general, she's kind of a post.
Yes.
But she looks cool. It's
exactly.
it's so you have that separation right there. It's like, okay, she really doesn't do much. She kind of says like some cool stuff. She was with Cyclops at some point, but other than that, really, Captain Britain's sister, really nothing.
Yeah. All right, let's move on here.
One thing they didn't do, which made me slightly sad. She should have had a British accent.
Yeah, she should have at least had a British accent, but what are you gonna do? Olivia Munn probably can't do a British accent. Let's just be honest.
It'd probably sound like this. Oi, I'm Psylocke, I am.
Yeah, it'll probably
Not Australian accent, Olivia.
It'll probably be just as bad as Halle Berry's African accent.
Which I have to say, the girl who played Storm in the new one, like she was spot on. She had a good accent. I was like, can we just get her to talk a little more? It's good.
Yeah, right. Oh man,
it was kind of off at times, but a lot better than Storm.
It was better than friggin' Halle Berry's.
Senator Kelly's dead.
Senator Kelly is dead. It's like, okay, listen, let's not give Halle Berry looks good enough as Storm. Let's just not give her a lot of lines. Sorry.
Just have her float around a lot in CGI. That'll be good.
Yeah,
What
right.
line do we have for? Oh, something about frogs. I guess we're gonna have to give it to her.
Fine. All right, let's move on here. Mr. Mike Madden. I believe Microsoft has done an excellent job of giving their consumers hope of a better future for Xbox. First, it was the infinite power of the cloud, then DX12, and now Project Scorpio. What are your thoughts on Microsoft's pipe dreams? And Final Stage Boss added, don't forget, Secret Sauce, dual GPU, the extra unlocked core, stacked SoC, and now teraflops.
um, there's the usual things: flowers, chocolates, promises you don't intend to keep.
Oh, see, they both do it, huh?
Well, that's a line from Beauty and the Beast, by the way.
I wouldn't know. Anyway, we've talked about this on Throwdown many times. Basically, Xbox fans don't like the fact that they're in second place, so they're always looking for that one thing that's finally going to put them on top, right? You had the secret sauce that didn't pan out. You had the dual GPUs that didn't pan out. Now it's Scorpio. That's what's going to destroy PlayStation. So it's always something because these guys do not like being in second place because, remember, last generation, they were in first place. They don't like being in second. Nobody likes being in second place. So that's what's going on here. You know, as we've talked about.
I don't mind second place.
You know, so, I mean, does anybody have anything else to add to this? Because, we've covered this many, many times on Throwdown.
I like how he says that they've done an excellent job of giving consumers a better hope for the future.
Yeah.
Like Microsoft, the indomitable optimists.
Hey, greatness awaits, right?
Oh shit.
Oh man! All right, so, go ahead.
I don't understand the question exactly.
The question is, Brian, we've covered this before. Basically, the question is like, has Microsoft done a good job of giving fans hope that they'll eventually top, Sony? That's the question.
I don't care.
No, I think he's just saying, what are your thoughts on Microsoft or Microsoft fans' rabid assertion that there's a something that is going to happen that makes Microsoft better? Like, I don't even know if he's specifying like why does it happen? Like, what are your thoughts on like just looking at like why does this whole thing happen? What? Or is Microsoft the one promoting this idea? Personally, I think that Microsoft fans last generation, and this is partially due to Microsoft themselves, they promoted an incredibly competitive ecosystem. They did a whole lot of comparing and contrasting. So this time when they came out with a console that was not quite up to spec of its main competitor, it kind of fell on its sword a little bit. I mean, yeah, I get that they were banking on it being this Omega machine that can do everything and took over your whole living room, and I think that they tried to force growth and market share on people instead of having people demand it. And I think this created a perfect storm where their hype turned back on them and bit them in the ass. And unfortunately, their hype had worked really well, and their marketing had worked really well with their consumers. So they had built this consumer base off of, we offer the best service, we offer the best product, we are better than the other people, and this is why you're with us. And then when their service slipped a little bit, they were left in a precarious situation where they either recognized that they had lost an edge, or they kind of played the underdog of, well, we're gonna win. You wait and see what we have in store for you. And I think that really resonated with people because, let's be honest, like, nobody wants to hear that the horse that they backed is losing the race. Like, up until the last minute, you're like, well, maybe they'll chug a 5-hour energy and fucking, pull it out of the clutch. Like, we love an underdog story. So it's just kind of, it played human nature like a fiddle. So I don't want to say that anybody's, like, silly or stupid for believing this, or that this is honestly not the way that you would expect it to go. If you had all the data for all of this 10 years ago, you could have accurately predicted a lot of this based on how people are going to act in certain situations. So I think it was just kind of inevitable. But if you're asking why did this happen, I think that's why it did. I think Microsoft inevitably sowed the seeds of its own dissent and didn't even realize it at the time because they were exploiting today, or they were exploiting tomorrow for a better today, and that kind of short-sightedness came up and bit them in the ass. And as everything, I would tie that back to shareholders, and we're going to strip out the copper of the building to make sure that we have profit today. And they created a quasi-toxic environment to help promote their sales that ended up hurting not just their competitor but them as well. And Rant dismantle soapbox.
Nice. All right. Next up here is a parrot or Thuway or Doc Gamer, as you want to call him. This is a little bit of a multi-part question. So the first part is how important is 4K gaming to the panel? So let's start with that one. Actually, I think this is two separate parts. Let me separate them now. Let's go with that. Didn't we answer this before? We kind of all said.
We kind of did.
Yeah, we
don't care.
Don't care.
No, don't care.
Until 4K becomes standard.
Yes. Yes, until the only thing that you can buy is a fucking 4K television. Yes, at that point in time, you do care about it.
Then I care about 4K gaming.
Yeah. I desperately hope it doesn't come to that. Like, I am actually hoping against hope that 4K gaming does not become a goddamn thing.
You can still buy like 720p TVs. Like 1080p is just like the standard because everyone just accepts it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like there's still like 720p TVs that exist out there. I mean, they're fucking rare, but I've seen a couple just floating around like, huh?
But
720p.
Yes, but at the same time, it's not like this. It's not like the standard of television anymore. It's like buying a black and white TV.
Mm.
You know.
So basically, it's like when the majority of TVs are just 4K and finding a 1080p is hard. Like that time will come. Like,
oh yeah, definitely.
I hope not.
It will come, Brett. You know it does. Like that's what
Brett, didn't you specifically tell me that, like, because when I said I don't care about 4K, you were like, oh, so why did you switch to a 1080p television?
Nope, that was not me, because I do not give a flying fuck.
Okay, just making sure.
I'm actually against the asinine race for superior graphics. Like, for fuck's sake, can we actually focus on the game engines? Can we get a little bit more depth? Like, I realize it was light years beyond everything when Elder Scrolls let you actually pick up any item in the game, but can we fucking progress in our gameplay? Can we have game systems that work in concert? Something that's a little bit more, I don't know, processor intensive than instead of just like this unending march for graphical superiority and fucking puddle deep games. I'm getting really sick of this shit. Like, Fable is one of the deepest fucking games in 10 goddamn years, and like, yeah, okay, well, our games look prettier now. I give a fuck if they look prettier. Can we do something? It's like we're just shining the shiniest turd until it's got this mirrored shine on it. Like, for Christ's sake, can we teach an old dog new tricks ever? I feel like games are getting more and more constrictive.
I think also the one thing about when it comes to the graphics are usually the easiest way to kind of demo the abilities of a console. It's always been that way, where it's like
it's really hard to put immersive and experimental gameplay into a trailer in a way that people are going to understand. But like, and that's again the problem. Like, okay, so just little bit by little bit, like, all people care about, or all people seem to care about, or all they think that they care about is graphics, because that works in a trailer. But when Dragon's Dogma comes along with a completely new gameplay mechanic, there's only a few people raving about it.
Yeah, because it's one of those things. It's not something that you could easily put into a trailer. Like even with Shadows of Mordor, it was something that they could actually demonstrate. It's the biggest problem with. It's also a big problem with VR. It's like, rather than just, you have to experience it in order for you to know what's going on. I mean, it's funny. Like you're talking about kind of advancement in other things rather than graphics. But Has anybody ever asked the question of what happened to that additional AI system in Last of Us that they demonstrated at PAX?
That's a good point. Yeah.
Like literally the enemies in Last of Us, the actual Last of Us games, are dumb as posts. Like the human guys.
Mm-hmm.
But like in the PAX demo, they show all this different stuff where, like, if you pulled out a bigger gun than they had, they would run away, or they kind of do different ways of trying to flank you, or would grab you from behind so that the other guy can punch you. They never did any of that.
Yeah, it
I
just
can
got
tell you
cut
why.
out somewhere.
Because that stuff, like, you can't put that on game boxes. Like,
Yeah.
what you
Yeah.
can put on is like, hey, this game looks amazing, this game looks great. Like,
Mhm.
that's the type of stuff that you put on game boxes. And this is one of the reasons why I'm not.
in the fucking game boxes.
But that's not what people
It's not.
think
Yeah.
that sells.
It's
Like,
not. Yeah. It's
people
not.
don't want that. People want Uncharted. That's the main problem with gaming these days, or mainstream gaming, is that people don't want a complex system where you can do like different things and AI reacts organically. They want a spectacle game where you press a button and shit happens. Like, that's what people want, and that's what that's what we're getting. Like, that's why God of War has now turned into Dad of War, because apparently
Or God of
having
Us.
and
God
that's
of
why,
Us.
like they've taken like a game that was not the best in its genre, but it was damn good, and then turned it into like, hey, since people like The Last of Us, let's make that again. And then even at Sony's conference, they had that other game that was not The Last of Us, as I call it, The Last of Us Light. You know, it's like that's what people want. Like, it's freaking frustrating because like I would love to see like an amazing game with like amazing AI that reacts organically to like what you're doing, or a organic system that like fucks around with you like as you move around like the world. But that's not what sells. And that's not what people want. All people want are just shiny things that look good.
They want shiny things, and they want empowerment. Like, they want to feel like they have mastery over the world in the game, rather than rather than having a little bit more challenge of something.
Press X to win.
Dude,
Yes.
even then, like whatever happened to destructible environments? Like, am I the only person who's pissed that never became a thing? Like, who doesn't want to shoot a rocket launcher and see the whole fucking hillside blow up and a bunch of trees fall over and catch fire in real time, setting a blaze to the entire area around you, which the rest of your gun battle is now like, cast in like flaming dead forest and whatnot. Like that sounds amazing. Do that. Make that happen.
It's still here, but it's spread out like between here, there, and everywhere. Like on one side, there's the battlefield stuff where you can like destroy your stuff, and then there's Just Cause where like you can kind of destroy like some trees and stuff like that. And then you have game like the Division, which are doing like weird half and half, where like some things you can just like shoot up for hours on end, and it'll just like destroy. Like I've like shot out like a wall like before, which is like, wow, this is freaking amazing, But then it's not all together yet, and I think the issue is that there's just not enough processing power to do that as of yet, like to make it like convincible enough. I think that's the problem as well.
I mean,
That's why
yeah,
it's like
it would
very
have to.
here and everywhere.
It would have to be a combination of the different. They'd have to figure out a different way to do things, because usually the way they do stuff in games is like there's a normal model, and then there's destroyed model, and then what they'll do is they'll throw like a bunch of cheesy fake debris on top of it. Then there's the other type where it's like it uses all kinds of crazy physics in order to like, okay, that hole you made a hole in that portion of the thing, so the bricks fall down, and all that stuff needs additional processing.
If the whole and this is the thing that makes me
Make it out of voxels.
Yeah. If there were no such thing as consoles, we would have fixed this by now, because they would have found a way to polish voxels and microvoxels into believable, smooth textures. Like the problem right now is voxels. They're getting them smaller and more polished, so that they're looking less and less like Minecraft blocks. But there's still a little bit of stair-stepping going. But if everybody were just worried about building a game out of voxels so that it could be fully destructible and fully customizable, then we would have solved this problem by now. Mark my words.
All right, let's move on here to the second part of the question. If given the choice, what graphical resolution, features, frame rate, and mods are the most important to you? Very interesting question. So out of all those, what's the most important to you?
What was it? Okay, go through it again.
Resolution, features, frame rate, and mods.
To be honest, none of those.
Features. Really?
Gameplay.
Features don't matter to you? That's features,
Gameplay.
isn't it?
Yeah, I thought that would be. Yeah,
I guess
figured
features.
is gameplay.
I mean, okay, so what features are most important to you then? So yeah, I guess gameplay would be one, right?
AI, environmental destruction.
But that's not part of the options, though.
Well, those are features.
Well, no, yeah, remember the question is, if given the choice, what graphical resolution, features, frame rate, and mods are the most important to you? So you could take it apart and go, what features are important to you?
Oh,
too?
okay, I see what he's saying. I thought he was saying what of those is the most important.
No.
What
So-
graphical resolution, 1080, features,
Gameplay.
yeah, gameplay. I like open interactive worlds. Like that's one of the reasons like I love Ark or even Fallout. Fallout is actually if Fallout on survival mode with all the building expansions and everything like that. Like that changes it into a completely new game, which is pretty cool. So I like building stuff. Frame rate, as long as it's 30 frames locked, I'm fine. Dip below that, and I will fucking scalp you. Mods are display mods. Allow me to change the bloom and lighting of the game so that if I don't want to walk through, a brown-washed post-apocalyptic wasteland, I don't have to. But if your game is super oversaturated bubblegum, then I can serious it up. End of question. Next.
All right.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with Brett. I would say 1080. I would say frame rate would be the least. It would be a nice 30 locked. I'm not too concerned with having 60. Features, gameplay. What was the other ones?
Frame rate. What's your preferred frame
You said
rate?
frame rate.
I said
What
frame rate's
mods
30.
and what features?
Mods.
Yeah, hey Brett, what mods do you want?
I just said texture the graphical mods that allow me to change bloom and saturation and lighting and things like that, so that if I want to change Fallout into a lush post-apocalyptic like wasteland, I can. Or if I want to take Skyrim and bump up the saturation, I can. Or if I want to take Jet Grind Radio and throw grit textures and subdued colors on it to make it more of like a steampunky kind of thing, I can. Like, allow me to adjust the basic visuals of the game, and I'm pretty happy.
For me, I'm not too concerned about those sorts of mods, but then again, I come from an area where I mostly play console games, so most of the time you don't really have that sort of stuff. I would say turn down that ambient occlusion. God damn it!
That would be in that same vein.
That should causes your console, it causes everything to chug for some goddamn reason. Anyway, that was that.
All right. I guess I'll go. What graphical resolution? 1080p features. Yeah, smarter AI. Not like I don't want AI to be frustrated to the point where I don't want AI to be so realistic that I can't play a game. But at the same time, it's like you guys got to think. You can't just stand there and let me fucking shoot you while you're scratching your balls.
No, they run at you.
Yeah, better AI. I want more reactive populations in open world games. They never seem like they're very smart. Like I want like an actual okay, I could follow this dude George. Let's call this guy George. I could follow George his entire life if I want to. Like maybe you find out George is cheating on his wife or something. Like shit like that would be cool. Destructible environments would be nice. That actually stay destroyed. Because look at Just Cause 3, destructible environments all day. You come back to that area, just like after going through the next area, bam, it's all fixed again. They have like the best version of destruction. Was it Damage Inc. or whatever out there? So that would be cool. Let's see what was the other part. Frame rate between. Like as I've always said, 30 or 60 locked. I don't care. One or the other. Don't really care. As far as mods go, mods that let you play with a controller are very important to me. As a coming off of being a console guy, because I can't be fucking around with mouse and keyboard. It's just weird to me. And I'm too old to learn. So that's important. And for older games, yeah, like a resolution mod. But I don't want like the game to be made to look completely different. I just want it to, just look nice. You know what I'm saying? Like if you have an old game, make it look nice in 1080p. You know, so that's what's most important to me.
Hmm.
Go ahead, Chris.
Well, I agree. 1080p is that would be nice. 30 frames a second at least. For features, I mean, yeah, AI is very important. I would love to be able to explore in an open world and go in everywhere. That's something I
Yes.
can't do yet. It's like, oh, hey, here's a house or here's a building. Let me go in here and explore. And somebody give me. I don't want. I want like a watered down Daisy. I want a zombie game, but without all the consequences of getting diarrhea and all that stuff. I just want to go shoot the zombies and go into buildings and shoot the zombies and come out and be a badass, shoot more zombies. I want that game. Somebody give me that. Is that a feature?
Yeah, sure. It's a feature
All
now.
right, there we go. And
Diarrhealess Daisy. Got it.
diarrhealess Daisy. That's also a mod. Take the diarrhea out of Daisy.
All right.
Other mods. Oh, I love the This guy did the Avengers in GTA 5. I love those mods, man. Where you could like alter characters. Like he put Iron Man and the Hulk in there.
Yes.
That was pretty amazing.
One of my favorite ones. They put Macho Man Randy Savage in Fallout. Like he's one of the Death Claws.
Dude, how about One Punch Man in Fallout?
Yeah,
That's
holy
amazing.
All right, Brian. What about you, man?
And this is where I have to go off the rails a little bit.
Going
Okay.
on a crazy train?
Yeah. Screw it. Resolution. I say 1440p and
I
upwards.
knew you were gonna say that.
But I have good reasons, and you may not agree with me, but this is quite important because it tends to be that at high resolutions, because the pixels are pushed closer together, it gets rid of a lot of problems like anti-aliasing, which is the thing that creates like the jagged edges on lines.
Yeah.
So by having a high resolution, you essentially solve that problem, sort of, not quite, but it kind of goes away, so things look nicer. Frame rate has to be above 60 frames per second because I play fast-paced games and I need the game to react as fast as I can react. And having it at 30 frames per second, like the time between like your input and the reaction on screen is just not that great at 30. Like it's passable, but it's
Wouldn't
just
that also
not that
be
great.
latency too?
It's latency due to the speed. That's the thing. It's not latency in terms of input. It's latency in terms of like the fact that the screen just hasn't refreshed yet. If that makes sense. Because there's also that, and then there's latency on top of that, which sometimes can happen. Which I notice more with the PS4 controller. I don't know why. PS3 controller seems to be fine, but yeah, PS4 is weird. Anyway, yeah, that. And in terms of features, I would like more verticality in games. Like that's one thing that I feel like games just aren't doing. They aren't doing any verticality. It's just mainly, hey, this level's just flat and that's it. Yes, maybe there'll be parts that go up, parts that go down, but I want I want like floors in a building, like to explore. You know, not just like, hey, here's the ground floor and here's the roof and that's it. It's like, no, I want like more stuff in between, you know? And I want actual hidden rooms that are hidden away, like because. And one thing that I've noticed with the hidden rooms in games is that they're not really hidden, they're just like off the beaten path. And that stuff is just not fun to find. It's like, oh, okay, so there's enemies this way, and the path goes the other way as well. So I'm guessing that the other way there's some sort of secret there. It's like, that's not really a secret, it's just the other direction. Like, I want stuff like PT levels of like hidden rooms. It's like, oh, you need to like do this, do that to get to the hidden room, you know? You need to like go over here at 5 a.m., you press this switch, and then you go over here at 7 p.m., you shoot out like the 7th light bulb, and then that opens like a secret doorway, like behind the cupboard or something, you know, that kind of stuff.
That sounds like bending down in the corner in Castlevania 2.
Yes, I want that, but not as bad. Yeah, I want that for secret rooms and verticality. Destructible environments are a plus, but whether or not I want them to stay destroyed kind of depends on the game itself. Because sometimes it's fine to have that, but then again, it reminds me a lot of Mercenaries, because essentially like by the end of that game, you would have just like destroyed everything, and after that, it just becomes a bit dull because there's nothing left to destroy. So have like an option like there was in the Far Cry games, where like you can just like reset stuff, like at your whim. I think that'd be pretty cool. And as for mods, uh, some sort of like super hardcore like realism mod, where it's like, oh, you take like 2 hits, you die. Like someone breathes down your neck, you die. You know, you look someone like the wrong way, you just die. You know? just stupidly like realistically real for like the fun of it, you know. And then also your priority like God mode stuff as well. So basically like what was it? Is that GTA 5 or like GTA cheats? No, it wasn't GTA cheats. What game was it? The okay, you know back in the days when like cheats were actually cheats, you'd have like stupid
Yes.
things like hey,
Cheat codes, yeah.
yes, cheat
He
codes
had
type
no-
stuff. Yeah, you know what? Cheat codes. I want them back. Cheat codes were just awesome. You know.
Cheat codes are now DLC.
I want cheat codes back. I think that's cheat codes.
Yeah.
So that was super fun.
I'll second that. I miss cheat codes.
Yeah, now it's all DLC.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you want to turn off achievements or trophies? Like, just let me screw around. That's fine.
Yeah, I think that's about it. As for graphical mods, I could not care less. Yes, I could not care less.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, as long as things look okay, they don't look like asshole, then it's fine.
It'll look like ass.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if you want for like the realism stuff, then go for like the realism stuff. But yeah, if you're going for like a like artsy thing, like cell shaded or like something, like, yeah, then go for that. You know, it's fine. As long as it doesn't look bad, you know, like good, like decent amount of texture quality, good amount of AF going on. Oh, no motion blur. Motion blur can go to hell. I hate it with a passion.
Why?
That's about it.
Motion blur is fantastic. I turn that shit on whenever possible.
Motion blur.
Hey, Brian,
makes-
I'm gonna show you something. Motion blur's real, man.
Yeah, but motion blur at 60 frames per second is just weird.
Not
Like,
really.
I think
I don't need the game to blur the game for me. Like my eyes are doing that for me. Like just let my eyes do the work. You know.
Nah, I like it when they do that. I was playing Rise with 60 frames with motion blur. It looked great. I love that shit. You know,
Uncharted 4 is terrible for that. I mean,
no,
like
it doesn't look great. What are you talking about?
I think
okay,
the motion.
stand still and then just move the camera around like at full speed, and you'll see just how annoying that is.
It's not going to be.
Tony, it messes up how great the game looks.
Well,
I'm literally saying that motion blur
Right,
makes the
but
game
that's
look worse.
realistic. Look, you can't see my hand when it's moving. You know, come on, man.
That's realistic, but that's a game, and I want to see the game for what it is, not motion blurs.
Then
Crap,
slow the camera down if you want to see it.
I don't know, man.
I also think that with motion blur, if it's not implemented correctly, it doesn't look right. And I do notice in Uncharted 4, that is one of the little bit of a failing on that game, is that their motion blur is very stroby.
Really, I didn't notice any problems with the motion blur in that game.
Yeah, but that's the same for quite a bit of games where it's not a blur, it's just a strobe and a light and kind of a light image of what the last frame was.
Interesting. What about Quantum Break, man? Shadow Mordor, what about it?
Yeah, that also had the same problem on PS4.
Really?
I went to play it. Yeah, I went to play it at Comic Con with Gary, and I just could not last like more than like a minute and a half because it would just make my head hurt.
Interesting. I thought the game looked great.
Yeah,
on
it
PS4.
kind of causes this weird strobe like effect, and I understand why people would have a problem with that. But that motion blur that you see is not exactly motion blur that you see in real life, either, or even in film.
I don't know. It doesn't bother me at all. I like.
No, I mean
blur.
some people it doesn't bother, but I can understand where it bugs people.
Yeah. All right, let's move on here. By the way, I want to thank the guys that are actually in the comments out there because we only had 7 questions. We got a lot more questions now.
Well, I thank you.
Yes. Okay. Next up, Mr. Derek Dukes from Twitter. He asked me, did you guys see the video that's in there? So basically, I mean, I could ask the question. It doesn't matter. What do you guys think of the ESPN video about video game addiction? So, I mean, the harder question is, do you think video game addiction is a real thing? Of course, you could be addicted to anything. You know, I mean, I guess the real question is do video games make you more addicted than other things? I think that would be the better question to ask. And I would say no. You
Yeah, I
know?
mean, people are look how there's a hotline for gambling.
Yeah,
People have a
exactly.
problem with that. They can't stop playing lottery.
You
Can't
made
stop sitting in a casino. they put ATMs right next to the damn number. If you go into a casino, it's like if you can't if you have a problem gambling, oh, but please keep gambling.
Hey, this may be a really crazy question, but I need to ask this. Okay, let's say you have a legitimate like sex addiction, right? But you're ugly as shit. How do you get your fix if no one wants to fuck you?
Prostitutes.
There you go.
Tony, have
All
you
the
seen the
internet.
internet?
No, I'm
Like,
talking about, like you need a physical person. You're
oh,
right.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Have you seen the internet? Like, there's so much weird fetish stuff on the internet. Like, you'll
really?
find people that will love you regardless of who you are. Like,
Wow. So it's like, hey, I'm an ugly motherfucker. Please come
oh
fuck
yeah,
me.
there'll be someone who's like, oh, I love toes, like giving them toes, and you have them toes, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. They'll be like, your face is ugly, your toes are beautiful.
yeah. It's like,
Oh, by the way, just to clarify, they want the toes on your body, right? They don't want you to like come with a bag of your toes, right? Just
I'm
making
assuming
sure.
so,
Well,
but
that depends
the
on-
internet
that
probably
depends
has
on what you-
both.
Some Billy Kincaid shit, you know, with little fingers and stuff.
Oh man.
yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, go ahead, Brian.
You
Addiction.
know, Tony, like, it's like there's all type of weird like fetishes. So like they'll find their fix because there's guaranteed like those weird. Okay, let's not say weird because that sounds like I'm judging them, and I am judging them.
Brian,
But
you can
I'm trying
judge
not
stuff. Come
to
on
judge
now.
them.
Come on now. Come
Yeah,
on.
there are those people that enjoy those things that are just out of left field, and it's like, really, like, you know. So other people will find their fix, like
Okay.
somehow.
Thank you for
Yeah.
that's something I was wondering. Like, what if you're a sex addict? You're a nymphomaniac, they call them, right? And you're fucking ugly as shit. No one wants to have sex with you. But you're right. Internet, money, prostitutes.
Mhm.
Anyway,
I mean,
so yeah.
dear Lord, there's like a damn website where you can watch people eat food.
You mean Twitch TV? We talked about that
Yeah.
last week.
It's like, come on, yeah.
Man.
As for addiction, it's okay. I don't know what the video was, but was it in like a negative light, or was like, oh, video game addiction is real, people need to be cured, type thing?
Yeah, I didn't see the video myself, to be honest, but we just got to get the heart of the question. Yeah, like, do video games get you more addicted than other things? I would say no.
No.
It's what you're predisposed to, you know.
I think though I do think that a video game addiction is real. Steam sale.
Yes.
Because come on, those sorts of things are built on those same sorts of aspects, those impulse buys. You know,
Yeah.
you spend you spend a little bit of money on a slot machine. It's like, oh, okay, that was easy. I'll just throw some more money, and then they
Why
give
do
you
you
a little
think-
bit more money.
Why do you think Angry Birds is so big? Right, the game is stupid, but it's just $1.
It's just $1, and that's why that's how all the mobile market works.
Yeah.
Where it's essentially it's like, okay, yes, these games a lot of them are shitty, but what they just cost, they cost only a few dollars. Only difference with the Steam sales is that they're actually really good games that people wanted to play.
Yeah, exactly. Not trash,
No.
you know.
Even though there is trash on there.
Oh, of course, because people want to say, "Oh, everything's great." Now, see, no, Steam is a video game market, which means 99% of the games are probably ass.
Oh, a lot of them are ass, Tony. You have no idea how much ass there is on Steam. It's like the one thing that no one on PC will tell you is that there's a lot of ass games. A lot.
All right. Anyway, did anybody have anything else to add about video game addiction? I don't think there's really much to add here. Yes, you could be addicted to video games just like anything else.
Yeah, look at problems in South Korea or China where
Yeah.
these guys sit in internet cafes kill themselves
Yep.
or have to get arrested to get them out because they suffer from something. There was a guy, I was watching a story in China, his feet were rotting, and he was
What the
playing League
fuck?
of Legends, right? They actually arrested him to take him to a hospital because he
Wow.
would leave. Yeah, so you can't, absolutely you could get addicted to video games.
That's crazy. Brett, any insight to video game addiction?
I think it's a stupid concept.
Why is that?
It's like somebody being like, "Oh, I'm addicted to chocolate. Suck it up and grow some self-discipline."
So
There are things that are addictive, as in the body becomes physically dependent on them, and then there are things that become habitual and you get hooked on them. The latter is strictly a willpower thing. Like, you may find yourself like addicted to buying Transformers, and Sally down the street may find herself addicted to chocolate, and Ted in the city may find himself addicted to heroin, and only one of you motherfuckers is actually fucking addicted.
Well, chocolate's a different story because of sugar. People are addicted to sugar.
Yeah, to a certain extent, but it's, you can fill that. You can just have some peanut butter. Everything has high fructose corn syrup. There's a difference between being physically dependent on something and.
Well, I think for video game addiction, like any addiction, people are physically dependent on it, because the idea is that like with gambling and stuff, the reward of winning causes dopamine levels to rise and your endorphins to release, right? Which makes it gives you a pleasurable feeling, right? So the feeling of winning and escapism actually causes dopamine excess and endorphins in your brain.
But
and
I don't
when you
think
cut that off, then you start to feel worse. It's almost like a drug-like feeling. It's like.
I agree with that, but that you could get the same thing from, like, missing Dragon Ball Z. The problem with gambling is that you are fulfilling an activity, and in fulfilling that activity, you're burning through money. So I don't think the problem with Daddy gambling is so much that Daddy was gone for 3 hours gambling. It's that he lost the fucking rent while he was doing it. Like, I don't think anybody ever has a problem, like a gambling addiction, when they're constantly winning.
Right.
I don't I don't think Longshot from X-Men could have a gambling problem.
Right. But video game addiction, you can't discount it as like this is habitual. For some people, it's not. For some people, that high that they get from playing a game and winning is tangible, right? It's measurable. And when you take that away,
more so than people who are addicted to shopping because of the dopamine response that they get from buying a new item.
Well, it's a similar thing. It's just like people get a rush from stealing, right? It's not habitual. You don't steal because I'm so used to it. Steal because you get the high of getting away with it.
Yeah, but but by its very nature, and I agree that they're like habitual. But I guess the problem becomes you cannot put that on the same level as actual physical, real addiction, as like a chemical dependence. Like,
well, it is
addicted to cigarettes is not the same as being a shopaholic.
Because you know how methamphetamines work, right? Methamphetamines causes your brain to release huge amounts of dopamine, right, and endorphins. This is just on a smaller scale with addiction to things like shopping or stealing or gaming.
Like, you're not going to become physically ill because you didn't play a video game.
Not physically ill in a sense, but you become sort of it's a lesser degree, right? It's not like you're on cocaine and then you get cut off, right? You get arrested and you're going through this humongous withdrawal because you are taking an unnatural chemical into your body. But the chemicals released are similar, just on a lower scale. So
well, they're the same mechanisms, but it's not addiction until those mechanisms are abused. Just because
they are abused, because if you are constantly exposed to high dopamine and endorphins and then cut off, your dopamine receptors start to become used to it, and you need more of it to feel good. See, when your receptors become saturated and used to, believe me, I studied this. When you become used to the stimulus, right? You need more endorphins to get the same feeling. So this is the same pathway that drugs take. You need more of a drug to have the same high.
But correct me if I'm wrong, but everybody in the world has that thing that's connected to that dopamine response. And just about every one of us is going to run into a situation where we can't fulfill that dopamine response, but we still move on like rational adults and fulfill the things in our lives that we need to do. We take care of our kids, we go to work. It's not an addiction, it's just something we'd really like to do. It becomes an addiction when it becomes a problem. The same way, like, you can have a couple drinks, but you become an alcoholic when it starts ruining the other aspects of your life. And anything that you could let get to the aspect of your life where it's ruining other areas of your life, I then ask the critical question of, okay, is this a physical dependency or is this an emotional dependency? Because if this is an emotional dependency, trust me, all of us would like to do nothing more than fulfill that one dopamine response that we have. But it's not the same as I physically need heroin today. And it's not that I'm discounting what you're saying, Chris. It's just that I can't bring myself to put those on the same level, especially as somebody who smoked for 12 years. Like, no matter how much I want to play video games, it was not the same as like having to give up a pack a day habit. Like, oh my god, that was hurt inside.
Well, everybody's also different, and what may hook you into repeating an action until it becomes beyond habitual and it becomes an addiction and starts affecting your life in a negative way is not what's going to affect another guy, right? So let's say somebody decides to bungee jump and they get a thrill out of it, and let's say they now continue to do this habit. I'm going to skydive and bungee jump and jump off mountains and get a wingsuit and fly around, right? And that has the same reaction in his brain that you would from, say, I don't know, driving really fast and dangerously, some guys have to do that. Like
jumping addictive though?
Well, no, but if he continues that habit till this person then kills themselves or doesn't, gives up their job and their life to continue thrill seeking, then you could consider that an addiction, right? By your own definition, they're now ruining their life or endangering themselves.
Yeah, I guess I would qualify that more though as just like a discipline problem, and maybe I'm making the qualification here like something you can be addicted to something when something is addictive, and maybe that's honestly not fair of me to say.
How dare you, Brett?
Well, maybe that is
you for having a different opinion.
You know what I'm saying? Like maybe it's not like a fair parallel to say that you can't be addicted to something unless it's addictive. Like that could be me just making a logical connection. This is the same shit I accuse Tony of all the time. Like I make a logical connection that makes reasonable sense to my brain, and I kind of assume it's this precluding assumption that everybody else is going to make. But I do have to step back and recognize that it's not necessarily an assumption or a parallel that everybody's going to draw. And I point this out for all you motherfuckers out there who think that I'm just a big fucking walking hypocrite. Like, I'm not. So just to be fair, I'm backing down on this one.
By the way, I actually agree with both of you and Chris on this one. Like, to me, both of your points are actually equally valid, On the one hand, it's like, you're not addicted, man. Get the fuck out of here with that. But then when you talk about the brain chemicals, like, oh, yeah, maybe you can be in a lesser extent, Yeah.
But, it kind of reminds me of, like, there was, what was it, an American Dad, where there, like, the whole episode, Haley keeps trying to, like, approach her parents and be like, seriously, I think I'm addicted to weed. And the mom just kind of be like, seriously, Haley, just stop it.
Yeah.
And I kind of laugh every time I see that, because I'm like, yeah, like, and trust me, I've known like stoners that just fucking go way overboard. And I look at these people and I'm like, I'm pretty sure you're just a lazy cheeseburger eating asshole to begin with, and the weed like fucking exacerbated that shit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to tell the story right now. So we have this friend, right, called Ralph, right? He was actually the drummer in my band, right?
We probably told the story about him, too.
This dude was on weed like it was crack, to the point where he would sell shit if he could get weed from it. Like, the stupidest thing was, okay, I remember he sold something to a guy one time. The guy didn't pay him back at all, and he goes and sells some shit again. This is where it gets bad. Our friend Mike had a computer there, right? Because we were in a band, we mixed our music in the computer. He sells the fucking computer to this guy to get weed, and the guy didn't pay him back. So it's like, come on, dude. It's like, this is crack. This is weed. You shouldn't be acting like this. This guy will smoke weed to take a shit, to use his quote, because it feels better. I'm like, yo, my man. Okay, that's on a whole other level right there, I think
there's some other shit going on here, man.
Dude, he wouldn't do. I'm not exaggerating, man. He would vouch for that. Chris, too.
Oh yeah.
He didn't do any activity unless he was high first, because he feels that any activity could be heightened. I'm talking about anything, any mundane shit. Dude, I'm gonna go check the fucking mail high, because it's better to get the mail high.
Dude, I've known people like that with drinking, and the best I can deduce is it's an anxiety thing. It's kind of an obsessive compulsive thing. They're like, dude, yeah, like I'm gonna go get the paper, but first I'm gonna make myself a highball. Why, dude? Because everything's better with a highball in your hand, man. Like, really? Because I'm pretty sure that doesn't equate to like doctor's visits, talking to a cop, dealing with an ex. Well,
Yeah.
maybe dealing with an ex. Like I'm pretty sure that doesn't actually apply. At this point, you're just checking off some little box in your mind that says, I've got a highball in my hand. You're like the dude with the White Russian. Like, it's more an anxiety thing. Like, it's a binky thing at that point. You're just checking off that box. At that point, you could give a shit less or not. Give a shit whether or not you're actually fucking drunk at that point. Like, I'm pretty sure those people are such functioning alcoholics, they don't even know when they're actually drunk unless they're debilitated.
Shit. Man, it's crazy.
So
Right.
there's my only point is, yeah, you can reach addiction with these things, but I personally label it as, man, there's some other shit going on when you get to that point.
Yeah. I don't know.
I can give a perfect
Yeah.
example. I have
Yeah.
seen people addicted to tattoos, and actually it's a transitory thing, because the people that I've met that have been addicted to tattoos are also addicted to cutting, which means they're addicted to an endorphin response and the dopamine reaction that comes with it from the act of hurting themselves. And so basically they cut themselves, endorphins, dopamine, they feel better. They associate A with B. It creates a logical mental connection. And the next thing you know, they associate pain or hurting themselves with feeling better from emotional stress. And this whole thing bears itself in a subconscious kind of fashion. And all they know is that when shit really hit, the shit really hits the fan, that they need to come in and get tattooed because it makes them feel better. So absolutely, I understand the mechanisms behind that. But do I think that they're addicted to tattooing? No. I think that they're dealing with anxiety and have found a crutch solution by hijacking the endorphin system. Do I think this is an addiction? No. Do I think that it's a compulsion and a workaround? Absolutely.
All right. Let's move on here.
Let's get physical.
By the way, we got a
Let's get
question.
science in here, bitches!
We got a question here from Mr. Richard Bailey Jr., editor-in-chief of the Coalition. He goes, given how successful the upcoming Spider-Man game will probably be for Sony, Marvel, and Insomniac Games, which other Marvel properties would you like to see turned into games next? Also, which development studios do you think are capable of making great Marvel games? A little bit of a variation of a question we've gotten before, but let's get into it. So,
Santa Monica, the Hulk game.
oh,
It literally made the
Man.
Hulk game with God of War.
yeah,
Wow.
dude, that would be insane. You know, Chris, go.
Shit, that's a good choice.
Yes,
Yeah, I
that
know,
is a good
I know.
choice.
Damn.
Okay, I already got one. Okay,
Yeah,
Daredevil. I got Daredevil by, and I need somebody. Sucker Punch, right? Since Insomniac's doing fucking Spider-Man, yeah, I want Daredevil by Sucker Punch. That would be awesome.
Ooh.
I would say Daredevil would be a better one with the guys who made with Naughty Dog.
Really?
Yeah.
They're
The story end of things.
Oh yeah, for sure. But the open world stuff, that would be Sucker Punch. Especially since they've done a great superhero franchise.
Yeah, man, I want to see Sucker Punch. Did Sucker Punch do all three of the Infamous games?
All three of them, yeah.
I don't know then. That third one kind of went right down the fucking tubes.
I don't know about that, but there has been, I guess, to some extent, diminishing returns with Infamous.
Absolutely. I mean, the first one was fucking stellar, so I'm not really sure if you can fault the second one for not living up to the first one.
Yeah, you're not as good as the first one.
Well, it's not, but like that's the first one hit such high marks that it would have been unrealistic to expect the second one to be as good. But man, I did not like the third one. I tried so hard. But they changed so much about the game. They changed it from more of a shooter to more of a hack and slash, which was just the very tone of the game.
So,
Right,
hold on, Brett. So what you're saying is that you don't like it when developers change the tone and feel of their games?
Yes, this is correct.
It's like sounds
Suddenly,
familiar.
claims of Dad of War being me not being happy with Dad of War are suddenly validated more by you. Thanks, Brett.
Oh
man.
yeah, no, absolutely. You have every reason to be upset about God of War. I'm just also
God of War.
I just happen to be excited for God of War.
I refuse to call it God of War for two reasons. One, because that's not God of War, and two, stop making sequels with the same title as the first game. It's confusing and annoying. I will not call it God of War PS4. I'll call it Dad of War. And that's
Dad of
it.
War. Okay,
God of
Dad
War is
then.
God of War, and that's on the PS2.
Yeah, no, I mean, Brian, you have a legitimate thing. My whole thing is like after Ascension, I think the series has run its course. You need to start with something new. So I don't mind them
Oh,
changing things
you know
up
what
a
the
bit.
thing I'm really pissed about is God of War would have been one of those games that is absolutely perfect for integration to VR, because one of the things that they're finding is that when you're dealing with VR, that the fixed camera point, like God of War or the old Resident Evil had, works really well with a VR headset because it works really well with the head tracking. So at that point, you can just kind of stick your camera up somewhere in the corner, and you can watch your character run around and do all kinds of cool stuff, and still bend your head and
Yeah,
crane your neck and
because
get all kinds of
you
different
get
views.
you get that one issue. You can't walk around the room. Like, the Vive has to do that weird teleportation thing, and if you don't have a controller, you have to do weird kind of adaptation things.
Yeah, I don't see VR going the way of walking around the room. I'm still saying motherfuckers are lazy and they're going to want to sit down. So I think the Rift is, as much as I hate to say it, right in that aspect.
Hey, it's okay. You can say that now because they got rid of all that that underhood, the hood stuff.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
DRM shit.
All
Yeah,
the DRM is gone.
Okay, well,
you
we'll
know,
see.
Chris.
Oh, I
At the end
came
of
up.
that.
Yeah, I came up with 3 I'd like to see. I would like to see Rockstar do a Punisher game.
Ooh, that would be awesome.
I think they would make after Max Payne 3. I think they would make a fantastic Punisher game. All right, that's the first one. Secondly, and this is a pipe dream, it'll never happen, but Rocksteady should make a Captain America game.
Ooh, I like that too.
And third, Platinum should make an Iron Man game.
Ah, damn, Iron Man.
And
That'd
I'm
be
just saying,
awesome.
Or you could swap out Rocksteady to do a Daredevil game.
Ooh, that would be
Yeah.
good.
Also good, yeah.
Yeah.
I just think with playing that first Captain America game, it wasn't quite a movie tie-in, but sort of, and they were trying to imitate Batman. I'm like, man, what if
Go in, son,
Rocksteady
go in.
could
Yeah.
do that, And I just think, because I played Vanquish, and it's freaking awesome. Imagine Platinum taking Iron Man, what they could do with it.
That would be insane.
Hopefully they wouldn't make it as good as the Legend of Korra game or the
Ninja Turtles game.
they just released.
Are we talking full AAA production here?
Oh
'Cause
yeah.
if so, I have a question for you guys. Who could pull off an Ant-Man game?
Ant-Man, that's an interesting one.
Because I'm sitting here,
Media
I was like, man, I'd
Molecule.
love to play an Ant-Man game, but I don't
Media
know.
Molecule.
I don't know, man. You know what I'm thinking now? Like, just give all these games to Rocksteady. Those guys are so awesome. Ant-Man. Yeah, I think Rocksteady could do a good one too, actually. Really offbeat and stuff.
Telltale Games.
Hey, you guys want to talk about new mechanics? Imagine that shit growing from the size of like 1 inch to like fucking 50 feet. At the touch of a button. Imagine that shit.
Even if they limited you from being able to go 50 feet until like you had that one power up, but even just the ability to like run around an open world game and then like shrink down and like drop down, and even if the game suddenly switched over and rendered in a quote unquote level that was the surface of a tanker truck or something like that, so you could freely kind of jump between instanced levels, but seamlessly blended together. So you jump onto the surface of a car and it keeps track of where you are in that car in like the open world space, but then renders in this pocket level, which is this space across the surface of the car that you can run on, and then at any point you can go back to normal size and it just pop you back out of that instance in a new location in the original sandbox lobby. Like you could sew it together in a way that would be really cool, so that like if you're fighting a guy, you could drop down to like if you're fighting I don't know, have a whole fucking army of people with Ant-Man powers, so that you can chase them down and then fight them across the surface of a train car or something like that. It just renders in little combat zone or combat arena levels whenever you do that. You shrink down onto the surface of a postal vehicle, and the game goes, okay, rendering in instance level 52B, which links over here, which is the surface of a postal thing. Short load screen, boom, you're in. And even if that short load screen was covered up by like a motion blur effect that made it look like you were shrinking or something like that, it could totally be done.
Yeah, I'm thinking crazier stuff. Like imagine, you're fighting one guy. Remember, Ant-Man keeps the proportionate strength when he's little, right? So imagine you're fucking like punching this guy your normal size, then you shrink down, you're beating up, and then just to finish it off, you grow to giant man and then kick this guy clear across the city. That would be awesome. And you would have neat destructible environment too when you're like running around, fucking buildings are getting destroyed and stuff. That'd be insane. And then after I just jump into a fucking sewer and shit. Man, that would be nuts, Brian, what about you, man? Studios, Marvel properties, go. Are you even here? There
I
you
would
are.
say that Platinum Games for a Wolverine game, because I think that apart from X-Men Origins Wolverine, there hasn't really been a good Wolverine game that's like really done it justice. And the Platinum seems to be like amazingly good at doing combat systems that are very fast paced and very hard hitting. Maybe the DMC guys could do it as well, since they also
Oh
do
yeah,
like,
yeah, Ninja Theory.
really good. Yeah. Again, other Marvel properties. Again, there's so many Marvel characters. That's just like, where do you start? It would be nice to do see like a good Blade game. I don't think we've had one. Have we?
Ooh, hold on, I gotta it's funny you say that because actually Black Star's listing off a bunch of them. He goes Eidos doing a Blade game. Eidos, the same guys who do Deus Ex and stuff.
Okay.
He goes one of the EA studios doing Guardians of the Galaxy. Imagine BioWare doing Guardians of the Galaxy. That'd be fucking nuts. X-Men RPG by Atlas, I guess. That'd be interesting, like a JRPG X-Men game. But yeah, ooh, man, I'm just thinking about BioWare right now. Think about them doing some shit. Oh, all right. Anyway, let's move on here. This is some of the stuff we got from the comments here. XX Snowman XX. This is an interesting one. It's very open-ended, and let's try not to go too long with this one. Is it okay to tell offensive jokes?
In this day and age,
Whoa, Brian, robot again.
Damn.
Brian, say exterminate.
Perfect. Brian, log out and come back in again, man.
Yeah, it just broke.
Yeah. Hey, Brett. I noticed you were gone. Did you hear the question?
No.
Is it okay? Again, this is a very open-ended kind of question. And let's try not to dwell too long on this one. Is it okay to tell offensive jokes?
Sure. Why not?
In this day and age.
To your friends and to people that you think can handle it, I don't think you would say an offensive joke to a person that you don't know.
Honestly, my personal opinion is it all has to do with your intentions. And I realize that this is probably pretty vague, but if you mean well... Wait, you're still a robot, Brian. You're still a robot. I guess what I'm saying is, if you mean well and you're not trying to offend somebody, and you do, and you are legitimately sorry, then a lot of times, even in the most finicky circles, you'll get kind of a pass. And maybe this is just me, and maybe this is like the tattoo world, or this is how you deal with bikers or whatnot. But like even in like an angry biker bar, if you say something, and somebody, the big angry guy turns around with a tattoo on his face, is like, "The fuck you just say? My mother was a Pisces," and you go, "Oh man, I'm sorry. It was just a joke. I didn't mean anything by it. Like, it's it's just wordplay. It's just supposed to be funny. My bad. Let me buy you a beer," or something like that. Like usually shit calms down. People are generally good-natured unless you're just being a complete tool bag, in which case and this I think is the problem. People too often want to be complete tool bags and kind of want to say like, well, you can't prove that I'm being offensive, or you can't prove that I'm being an asshole, so they think they just get the benefit of the doubt. Like, if you're genuinely not trying to be an asshole, then people will genuinely pick up that you're not trying to be an asshole. If you think that you can be an asshole and just weasel out of it by benefit of the doubt, then people are probably not going to cut you too much of a slack. So, like, yeah, if you're a racist, don't tell racist jokes, because you know what? People kind of pick up on that shit. But if you're not a racist and you want to tell a joke because it's fucking funny, I'm sure other people are going to pick up on that.
Yeah, I mean, you got a point there because I say a lot of racist jokes, but no one ever gives me shit because they know Tony's just fucking around. You
Yeah,
know?
it's just wordplay. Like I know all kinds of racist jokes that aren't funny because you think badly of anybody. They're racist because wordplay, because they lead you this way and then you end up going this way. That's called misdirection and is one of the foundation of all comedy.
Yeah, I mean, I actually told the joke earlier today, which I told on this show several times, where it's like, this is how you know Throwdown is a colored people type of show. We're supposed to start at 10:30. We really start like at 10:41, 10:57. That somebody could, a person would really thick stick up their ass and go, oh, that's offensive. You're trying to say, oh, minorities are late? I'm like, no, I'm making a joke because most of us are minorities there and we're always fucking late. But somebody could, but the point is, even if you have good intentions, someone could still be fucking offended. That's the kind of world we live in now. So it's really tough to tell what to say and what not to. Generally, I just say whatever I'm going to say and worry about it later, but I haven't gotten into any problems with it, so I think I'm okay,
Even racist jokes, like, okay, here's one that I'll burn through real quick just for the sake of time.
Careful, yo.
Oh, it's fine, and I'll break it down for all of you. Three guys on a fishing boat, Russian, American, and a Mexican. Pull up a lamp, and Genie pops out. Genie says, "Three of you, I'll give each of you one wish." Russian steps up, says, "I want a bottle of vodka." Bottle of vodka appears in his hand, smashes it against the deck, says, "When I get home, I have all the vodka I need." Mexican steps up, says, "I want a bottle of tequila." Gets a bottle of tequila, smashes against the deck, says, "When I get there, I'll have all the tequila I ever need." American steps up, says, "I'll have a Bud Light." Bottle of Bud Light appears in the hand, smashes the Mexican against the deck, says, "When I get back to America, I'll have all the Mexicans I'll ever need." Like, boom, racist joke. The reason it's funny doesn't have anything to do with racist tones, though. It has to do with the perceived perception of an immigrant community influxing upon another community, which in this instance is the perceived influx of Mexicans on Americans. It's the idea of culturally that a white person would think that there are too many people of another nationality in his country as it pertains to the current political climate. This has nothing to do with the native population or the genetics of anybody. You take away the political environment that joke is bred in, and it has no humor to it. So it actually has nothing to do with racism by itself. It just simply has to do with stating the direction of the environment that it was born out of and where you think it's going to go, and then dodging directly to the side. Another good example of a non-racist version. Three guys find a genie's lamp. Genie pops out, says, "I'm going to give each of you one wish." First guy steps up and says, "I wish to be the most handsome man in the world." Boom, he's the most handsome man in the world. Chiseled jaw, beautiful eyes, the whole 9 yards. Man number two steps up, says, "I wish to be the most charismatic man in the world." Boom, all of a sudden, women start flocking to him. Even the woman who was immediately drawn to guy number one starts going to him. Third guy steps up and says, "I want my arm to spin in a clockwise direction from now until eternity." Boom, his arm starts spinning in a clockwise direction from now until eternity. Guy number one steps up, says, "I want to be the richest man in the country." Boom, bank slip appears in his pocket that says, $3 billion. Second man steps up, says, "I want to be wealthy beyond a measure of what anybody has ever known." Boom. A portfolio appears in his hand that shows, all of the bonds and stocks in all of the world totaling an untold amount of riches. Third guy steps up, says, "I want my arm to spin counterclockwise now and forever until the rest of my life." First guy steps up for his third wish and says, "What was it? I wish to be I wish to own more land than anybody has ever known." Second guy steps up, says, "I wish to own, fucking extraterrestrial space travel so that I can claim more land than anybody has ever known." The third guy steps up and says, "I want my head to bob back and forth from now until eternity." Years later, they all kind of meet up in a bar. First guy steps in, talks with the second guy, says, "So, how you doing?" He says, "Well, not too bad. All the money's still going well. I have more money than I'll ever need. I'm constantly berated by women constantly jumped by women, and everything's basically fantastic." Second guy's like, "Yeah, my life's pretty good too. I've invest in my stock options. I've increased all those exponentially. I basically go around on a yacht all the time with party models, and all that's good. Third guy walks in, arms bobbing, arm swing to the side, head bobbing up and down, says, "Guys, I think I fucked up." And the only reason that joke's funny is because you thought there was going to be a fucking payoff.
It's hilarious. I'm thinking about like an action figure that's constantly doing that. Think about that.
The point in all that lead up was it only matters about misdirection. If the joke is intolerant and actually funny, then there's a good reason to tell it. If it's intolerant and just stupid, then it's probably just a vehicle for your own shortcomings. So if you're genuinely not being an asshole, then go ahead and tell it.
Yeah. That's a good explanation. My whole thing is that it should be okay, but it kind of isn't because of the dumbass society we live in. So just pick your battles when it comes to jokes, because
you know what? I have to disagree with that though. Like the second I think you start apologizing and changing your behavior for these people, it's the second they fucking won. And by these people, I mean anybody who wants to censor you or change your actions. Like as long as you are being genuine, not trying to hurt somebody, and are trying to go through life making other people's lives better for having known you, then do not fucking apologize to anybody unless you have sincerely fucked up. But don't let people pressure you into apologizing when you don't want to apologize.
Yeah, but at the same time, you know, I don't think it's unfair to say be careful, because somebody's going to get offended no matter what.
Somebody will get offended. Oh, especially on the internet, somebody will get offended. But and maybe it's me, but usually I can't fucking wait for somebody to come out and try and call me a racist in actual public. I'd be like, motherfucker, do you understand? I was talking to Rachel about this today. Like, you understand I got my jaw broken by a Nazi for standing up for people's rights other than mine? Do you not understand? Like, I was fucking counter-protesting Fred Phelps 20 years ago. Like, you can say whatever the fuck you want, and you can say whatever side of history I'm on, but I've stood for the same shit since I was old enough to know better, and that's that. You do right by people, you say what you mean. If you offend somebody, you try and find a middle ground. But in general, being honest and open and truthful is way better than trying to censor yourself to make somebody else happy. Because the political environment will shift and change, and not shifting and changing with it is the definition of integrity.
Good job there. Brian, are you still a robot?
No, I'm back to normal now.
Sweet. Okay, go for it, man. What do you have to say about this?
Yes. Tell offensive jokes. People get offended. Tell them to grow up here. Tell them to grow a spine. Tell them to grow up. I mean, the whole point of comedy is that it's tragedy plus time. Like, I'm not saying that all jokes need to be offensive, but just tell them it anyway. You know, like, the whole point is to make people laugh. If people don't laugh, then they don't get the joke. And what can you do about that?
What do you think about the fact that comedians can't go to colleges anymore to tell jokes because people get offended? Remember, comedians used to make their money off this shit. They used to become big stars going to campuses and stuff. Now they can't do that because people get like super offended by shit. This is why I'm saying, like, hey, you can tell jokes. I'm just letting you know there are people out there that are probably not going to appreciate your jokes, no matter how genuine you're being.
Colleges just suck now anyway. They're just big fucking crybaby sit-in rooms.
I was trying not to go there, but yeah.
You can say it. But isn't it ironic, because colleges used to be like a space for openness, right? Now they're like the complete opposite of that.
Yes, they'll ban chalk because you can write stupid stuff on the floor, like Trump or somebody else.
Yeah.
That's what it's for, you dope. Who
Yeah,
cares if you wrote Trump or fucking Hillary on the goddamn floor and it offends anybody? That's the whole point, because you can do it.
So stupid. For you people who don't know, so film college, I forgot what it was, but they basically banned people from writing shit on chalk because some people are writing Trump supporters, but they don't, Trump rules or whatever, but they miss the point, like, hey, you can't write also Bernie rules, Hillary rules. You can't write, bacon is awesome. You know what I mean? So,
bacon offends me, goddamn it.
Fucking.
Yeah.
Just to paraphrase the suicidal tendencies, if you're offended, maybe you needed to be offended.
Well, it just like every time I hear that something was offensive, like my first thought is what Stephen Fry said, and I can't remember the exact quote, but it pretty much just ended up with him saying, "You're offended, so what?" That's like, yeah, okay, you're offended, so what? Like, that doesn't mean anything. Like, being offended is not a thing. It's just a sense of mind. It's like, I'm offended by this, I'm offended by that. Like, so what?
It's not like somebody is actually causing any sort of bodily harm on you. But now, even if you unfriend somebody off of Facebook, now that's you can get fired for that bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this on the show too. It's like, hey, what happens to you when you're offended? What actually happens to you? Nothing. Nothing happens to you.
Your feelings get hurt, and that's it.
Yeah, your bullshit feelings, exactly.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not gonna say that being triggered isn't fun. Like, I'll be honest. Like, it's really hard when you're like out and having a good time, and man, somebody makes a cancer joke, and like, boom, the fun is just sucked out of the room for me. But then it's kind of honestly my responsibility to either leave the room, or if these are people that I know, to be like, hey guys, do you mind? Like, I realize it's a special request. It's like, calling ahead to the kitchen being like, hey, no onions. But if the people around you care enough about you, then they'll accommodate. And for the most part, like, you just have to have a fairly thick skin. Like, if I go out amongst a group of people and somebody says like, blah blah blah, it's so bad it gave me cancer, like, okay, I get it, funny, not really funny. And then a second comment comes up, and then maybe by the third comment I'll mention something, be like, hey guys, there's a disproportionate amount of cancer jokes going around here. Maybe this is y'all's thing, but do you mind? And if not, like, I'll see myself out. Like, I do not understand where it became everybody else's responsibility to accommodate for the shitty things that life has done to me. Like, how is, like, even here, like, how would that be anybody's problem? And I want to say, like, I want to say I called somebody out in the chat for it just a few weeks ago, and it was like the third time he had said something. I was like, hey man, do you mind? Like, maybe you're not aware, but be conscious towards your audience. And I think that just goes back towards, again, don't be a dick, but for Christ's sake, where does it say in life's rulebooks that you get to walk around without ever being offended?
Yeah, well, I mean, there is no life rule book anyway, but you're right. It's like, doesn't say it anywhere. That's so stupid. Anyway, move on here. Robzilla, do you guys think, this is a funny one, do you guys think Kingdom Hearts will come out this year? No. Kingdom Hearts 3 ain't coming out this year.
There's a Kingdom Hearts game coming, but it's not the one you think it is.
Oh, yes, true. Yeah, Kingdom Hearts 3 this year, no, but maybe another Kingdom Hearts game. Yeah, the 2.9 or whatever the bullshit is called.
Yeah, which was essentially the one that came from the 3DS.
So stupid.
That's Kingdom Hearts 2.
All right, and moving on to the last question here. Mr. Quentin Branch, with future Xbox exclusives showing up on PC and Steam, do you think people will consider a customized 4K Steam box over a Scorpio console? Interesting question.
That's a good question. I mean, as long as you can use a real controller on a dumb Steam box, and you're not using the nipples.
Yeah, right. That bullshit Steam controller.
Mm-hmm. But I don't think they would alienate people by just saying that you can only use this thing on there. I think an Xbox controller probably does work on there. So
probably does. I mean, that's the nice thing about Windows 10. You plug that shit in, Xbox One controller, you know it's going to work.
I'll tell you one thing about my Windows 10. My Windows 10 does not like my Xbox controller. Every single time the driver crashes.
Oh wow.
So.
Here's my question, and it's I guess maybe directed towards Brian. Like, what happens when all the console users would migrate to PC and then run into all of the problems that PC just kind of, I don't want to say takes for granted. Well, like, PC has all kinds of problems that they've just kind of always been there, and they've always been part of the environment. So, like, the same way console has drawbacks, and we've just kind of become immune to them. So does PC. But I noticed, especially like if I always complain about multiplayer being kind of broken. Like, that's incredibly obvious to a console gamer who's used to fairly secure, fairly predictable online multiplayer. Then there's always the problem of, like, the first time you buy a game and you just can't get it to work. Like, that is something that's hard to wrap your brain around as a pure console gamer. Like, you can pay $50 for a game, and it may just straight up not work on your machine. There may be little to nothing that you can do about that. And sometimes you can do something about it, but only after hours of research and some tedious digging. So I'm not sure if Steam is ready to accommodate the whiny, capitulating player base that is console gamers yet. And I think this is only really shown, especially by the recent mod fiascos.
I agree. I don't think that, yes, because there is a chance that maybe because the Steam box uses your essentially is slinging your PC games from your from your PC onto your TV.
Well,
Yes.
are we talking about the Steam box or the Steam Link?
The
Steam
Steam
box.
Steam box.
The Steam boxes actually run the games on the Steam.
Oh, okay. So it's a
on-
it's yeah. It's, so
yeah.
it's like a cheesy
Yeah.
PC.
It's the Steam Link that streams from your PC
Oh, okay.
to your
Okay.
yeah, like Chromecast.
Here's the thing. Yeah, there is that situation where it's like, okay, obviously it is the all-in-one kind of Steam box, but at the same time there is a point where the specs of the game will outweigh the actual box that you're the cheesy little PC that the Steam box actually is. So do I think that that it will work out? I don't know if it'll work out as well. There's still a fair amount of futzing that needs to happen with something like that.
Yeah, but I don't think a lot of people consider going down that route. They're dedicated console guys are going to stick with consoles. I don't think they're going to make a jump like that.
No, I mean, I also think of where people start saying consoles are dead or some other bullshit like that. I think that's no. As long as people don't want to deal, the regular person out there who's not that computer savvy is not going to go jumping into a freaking PC,
Yeah.
Or
exactly.
the minute they try it out, they'll be like, "Yo, man, this shit is crap. My games don't work."
Yeah, when the drivers start failing and stuff,
Yo, man, this is a screen that just showed up. It's blue. It says something about insert reinstall disk. I don't have that.
Yeah. What's a disc, man?
Where's this disk? It says call.
I think Steam is about halfway. I think their big picture mode is a good step, but I think that they need to streamline their service for console users before they would be able to handle a mass exodus. Not that I think that they're primed to try and take on that mass exodus. They have a few more let's say gateways that they need to build before they'd be able to actually even try and initiate that process. But even if they tried to put in a plan tomorrow to get all console gamers onto PC via Steam boxes, I don't think that they would be able to keep them because I don't think it's the kind of environment that console gamers are used to. And again, I will say, if you guys have heard anything about the mods that are coming to consoles, you've had a shitload of console players basically swarming the mod creators and basically being kind of abusive assholes because a lot of the mod creators have chosen not to support consoles, which is their right. They're doing a job for free. But then they're buried alive by messages of this isn't working, my Xbox can't figure out how to download it, even though it says directly on the page this isn't for Xbox, etc., etc. And I've heard a lot of rumblings in the mod community about the modders are pissed, and some of them have quit just due to the just sheer amount of bullshit that has come from the console side of things. So I think that right there is a red flag of the ecosystems. As much as we want to say that they're pretty close, that they're getting the same games, the ecosystems and the people in them are still vastly different.
Yeah, that's for sure. All right, that pretty much does it for this. Unless Chris, you want to jump in real quick with anything?
No, I agree. I agree with you guys. I don't think console guys are gonna jump on that so fast. Like a PC has a leap that I don't think most console guys are going to take. Like you were saying, drivers and issues and support and all that stuff. Choosing Steam Linux over Windows, like things like that. It's just too complex, too much trouble. Like they just want to put down their box in place. So I think the guys, especially Xbox guys, they're not going to do that. They're going to get Scorpio.
Yeah, they're just gonna get the Scorpio and that's it. They're not gonna, there's a lot of shit. You gotta do I go with NVIDIA or do I go with AMD? There's a bunch of shit in there you guys don't want to deal with,
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead, Brian. Finish it off.
Yeah. You guys pretty much just echoed all my statements. To be fair, to quote Dark Souls fans, these console guys are either going to get good or get gone. Because that's all they can do. There is no real low middle ground. It's either you either deal with the bullshit and learn what goes on, or you just don't deal with it and get a console. That's one of the things. And also, what Chris was saying just now about like Steam, like for Linux, it got me thinking. It's like, so essentially you buy a box that runs Linux and you play your games on it. Is that a Steam machine or a console?
That's a good question.
Because
Very well be a console because PS4 is a box that runs Linux.
yeah, because essentially it's the same thing. It's like your OS is on there. You download your game from a proprietary thing. You log in with an account. You download your games. It's like these machines are like slowly diverging into like one system kind of, And I think
it's what Steam wants though, isn't it? Is they kind of almost want to pitch it to you as here's a console, but you can upgrade the pieces in it.
but it's not quite there yet in terms of simplicity.
No,
Like-
it's not, which is why it hasn't worked. But I think that's I'm not sure if they've abandoned the idea or if it's taking longer to come to fruition because it's not a bad idea. It's just it seems like they lost steam halfway through. But
They lost steam. I think the problem with the Steam machine is that it's Valve not also wanting to commit to something. They're like, you guys do it. Well,
yeah, I don't know why Valve did not want to commit. I mean, clearly they've got their hands full working on Half-Life 3, but you'd think they'd be able to take a little bit of time out.
No, they're too busy just counting the money through the Steam sales.
How do they count their money? They can't get to 3.
Yes. Good question.
They just have lots and lots of piles of 2s. Brett, they count in binary. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's
jokes are the best. All right. So let's wrap it up here. So again, make sure to check out the quarterly report that me and Chris were on. So you can learn about all the great games and the not so great games that came out during the last quarter. Right. That's up now on the Coalition. Be sure to check that out. And also, once again, happy Independence Day to all of our American fans. By the time you're seeing this, it's either Independence Day or you're very, very hungover.
or we could say happy belated Canadian Day.
Yeah, so we're Canadian, Canada fans, right?
Yep.
Canada Day. Yeah, is Canada Day their Independence Day or what? Like,
pretty much. A lot of Canada's holidays kind of coincide with American holidays.
It's very interesting. Are they,
Hey, Brian.
They're trying to be like us, man, because Canada is essentially our hat.
No, they are our hat.
Yeah, they are our hat. Come on now.
Hey, man, they did some good shit.
Hey, we love our Canadian fans.
They did some good shit during World War II, man.
Yeah, they did. You're all very, very polite. Anyway, go ahead. What's your question, Brian, Brett?
I was just gonna ask Brian, like, how does the UK generally regard, like, not the holiday of Independence Day, but our celebration of Independence Day? Do you guys just look at us and go, "Oh, you"?
It's mainly a mix. There's the immediate like, oh damn Americans, they're at us again. The loud ass fireworks, like jeez, man. And like there's no spite at all. It's just kind of like, I wish they would just stop now. It's like we get it. It's a thing that happens.
That's what I figured. Yeah, we get it. You can stop making explosions now.
Yeah.
Okay, wait.
Yeah.
Do you feel the same way about every other nation that has Independence Days? Or
No,
is it
it's
just America.
mainly Americans because.
Is it
America
because
was
that's
Because it's bombastic and loud. That's why.
Because America was the first one, the first girl that got left.
Because we make a big to-do about it. That's why.
Well,
You make the biggest rocks about it.
Well, we're
No one
Americans. Well, okay, because we're Americans. That's fair enough. Like, here's my question to you, Brian. Do Americans that live in England like throw off fireworks and shit?
Oh, I'm not too sure. Probably so.
Yeah,
But
'cause,
I
again,
haven't found that
Americans, very loud.
I
That's
don't
what we
think
do.
so.
Brian, investigate. These Americans, I wouldn't put it past them. People have been shooting off fireworks in my neighborhood for the last week. It hasn't even been the holiday yet.
Yeah.
And they're not legal in New York City either.
No, they're not. But these motherfuckers find a way, man.
All I gotta say is Pennsylvania is fucking fireworks town because literally every
Well,
single.
they're legal in Pennsylvania.
Oh yeah, they're legal here. So literally every single corner store or whatever you go, they're selling fireworks like crazy.
By the way, I want to quote The Simpsons: "Celebrate Independence Day by blowing up a small piece of your nation." America is awesome. So yeah, I'm gonna be partaking in the barbecuings and drinkings. It's gonna be awesome. Fourth of July is the one time, that and New Year's, where I just go fucking crazy, throw up at the end of the night and shit.
So where you headed, Mr. Polanco?
My families, man, my cousin Chris and stuff. They're all those guys throwing a big barbecue. I'm gonna be getting fucked up. Looking for, like I did last year, man. I got so fucked up last year. I don't even remember coming home. You know, I come to when I'm like barfing inside of a fucking bag. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm a very self-sufficient drunk, which is both good and bad, if you know what I mean. You know,
Yes.
It's good because you can take care of yourself when you're drunk, but it's bad because I don't want to be that self-sufficient when I'm drunk. That means I can keep doing it. You know, like damn, I do all this shit on my own and I don't even remember, man. Crazy shit. So yes, happy birthday, America. And by the way, people, will you stop with the whole happy 2016th birthday, America? That's fucking stupid. It's a dumb joke. You know, we're like what 230 something years. Stop with the nonsense. All right. Anyway, so thank you for watching and listening. Leave us your questions in the comment section on the Coalition or on YouTube so we can answer them on next week's show. Make sure to follow the Coalition at thecoalition.com. Also, hope to support the site by donating to our Patreon page. Subscribe to Throwdown on SoundCloud, iTunes, and the YouTube. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Throwdown Show. Links are available in the description below. Once again, I was your host, Tony Polanco, and I'm joined by Emilio Lopez.
Yay! Later, guys.
Brett Murdoch.
King's Landing, indeed.
Chris Seeley.
I hope this show gave you all the appropriate dopamine response.
Yes. And Brian Manjoma.
Happy Brexit, America. You were the first.
Brilliant. All right, guys. We'll see you around. Throw it down. Episode 91. Coming at you later.
Peace.
Deuces.
Avita same.